Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchman with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch, on this Friday edition of the hottest show in all of the globe. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We're back. Yes, indeed, we're back. We're here having fun, having a ball, enjoying life with you, and ending your week off strong with a whole host of conversation that we have to delve into across the globe of sports as a whole, with the Ryan Garcia versus BARRIOS press conference, the first big instance of Ryan Garcia back on the stage of boxing. How did he look in a very, we'll say, emotion-filled press conference that we saw? Does this give us any intrigue into the likes, or rather the whims, of Ryan Garcia to have the ability to come back to prime form and finally take his place as a champion in the world of boxing against BARRIOS? Will Goosen be a concern that Ryan will have to worry about? Will his own psyche be a concern that Ryan will have to worry about? All of this and so much more we're going to discuss surrounding the fight, as well as we got Zuffa boxing again. Like I said, we're going to talk about the whole situation with them and whether or not they will indeed be able to succeed or fail. And Dana White, if he will actually stick around with this whole Zuffa situation, as well as much more in the realm of sports, boxing, and beyond. Because remember, this whole show on Fridays is dedicated to you all, the viewing and listening public, because it is indeed the championship rounds. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is your time to shine and have your voice be seen and heard across the airways throughout the world, throughout the masses of sports media land. We want to hear from you, and you control the conversation, you control the day, and you control the topics of discussion on whatever we have. We're going to have plot points, we're going to have certain agendas that we will have as you're getting your questions together, but on the whole, you all control the entirety of this show on this Friday, like we do every single Friday. So please, we can't wait to hear your comments and opinions. Speaking of comments, hey, be sure to comment your thoughts and opinions on whatever we discuss right here on the show in the chat, as well as leave a like on the video. Helps the algorithm to push us immensely to the masses. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel. Come on and join the empire. Come on and be a part of this great monolith of a community. All with you and your support, we can keep on growing. Be a part of this great work that we got going on, and be a part of the conversation. And please be sure to hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. And please be sure to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together. All with you and your support, we can make this thing so possible to grow into the biggest conglomerate of community mogul excitement all throughout the YouTube airspace. And with you and your support, we can make it possible, no question about it. And please, if you can support the show, we got Cash App, we got PayPal, we got links down below in the description, as well as we have super chats, super gifts, stickers, and all that stuff. If you can give and support the channel, would mean the world to me. Absolutely, I would appreciate it. It helps to pay the bills, as well as helps to go through and make this show bigger, better, and stronger, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. Yes, indeed, but with all that being said, we got a whole bunch of boxing to discuss. We got a whole bunch of sports to delve into. We got a whole host of action that we need to delve into and dissect. So, with all that being said, it's time for the championship rounds, and it is time to step into the ring. Yes, indeed. Come on, let's get it popping. It's the championship rounds. We want to hear from you on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. But as you're getting your questions together, we are going to have our conversations involving the world of Ryan Garcia, first and foremost, in the reaction to the press conference that he had on this shoot yesterday, being completely honest, at 4 p.m. directly, honestly enough, right after we ended our show on yesterday. And it looks to be, you can take it as twofold street. Some would say that Ryan looks confident. Some would say that Ryan looks incredibly, excited, dedicated, driven, and all of this energy is good energy. Some would say that this man just an absolute trip. My goodness. Some would say it's insane. Some would say it's crazy. Some would say it's ridiculous. Some would say, "Oh no, we are back to the bad side of Ryan Garcia." And if you didn't get to see the press conference that Ryan Garcia had on the Barrios card, well, it was a very tale of two halves. When you had Barrios, the more so even-keeled Aztec warrior, but who's incredibly, driven, incredibly motivated, incredibly tough, currently WBC champion of the world, and he was more so saying, "Hey, it's gonna be a great fight. You're gonna want to see it. You don't want to miss what we got going on. It's gonna be phenomenal. I'm not gonna go and stay down, unlike my opponent over here, quote unquote, when he faced off against the likes of Tank Davis and had to take a knee and didn't get up because he got hit in the ribs when those ribs were injured." A little bit of a jab there, but in all actuality, he was just simply saying, "Hey, it's gonna be a phenomenal fight. We're gonna do what we do best. I'm coming to win. I'm gonna come and give you all a war. And trust me, on February 21st, you're gonna want to see what we got going on. Plain and simple." That was the Goosen Barrios end of the spectrum. Ryan Garcia, however, was completely off the rails. I mean, this cat came out guns swinging, calling everybody a traitor, coming through and throwing shirts everywhere, going through and giving everybody the business for the sense of everybody who worked with me and then now is working with the enemy. How could you? How dare you? It's a shame. I feel betrayed. All this type of stuff. I'm going to come back and shut everybody up. Going through and saying, "I love the WBC," having a whole kind of a spectacle show per se. The show is admiration for finally getting the opportunity at a championship when everybody else had banned him because of the whole PED situation. So now, with all that being in place, there's been a big conversation, there is a big conversation about with Ryan Garcia coming back, and us seeing him in the spotlight on the boxing stage for the first time in over a year. Well, does this type of Garcia look like a Garcia that's ready and prepared? In the gym, we can say that he looks good. No problem. In the gym, it looks like he's putting in work. I have no issue saying it. He looks adept at attempting to make his presence felt and not wasting this opportunity. I do enjoy it. The energy, though it may seem sporadic, does have the feeling of somebody who, okay, this is the Ryan Garcia of old from a persona standpoint. He's eccentric. Yes, he is indeed brash in a way that can be off-putting at times, but he does feel like he's 100% committed to this fight, which is something that, hey, we have had some concerns with over the course of his career. Yes, he's taken on all comers from the standpoint of in the boxing ring. Yes, he's been a person who doesn't duck smoke. Yes, he's been somebody who's taken on more of the four kings in this modern day with T.O., Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, and if you want to throw Rolling in there, sure. Well, we don't throw him in there, but just as a name, he has been able to face off against people that have been seen as real threats at or above his level, like we're tanking, like we're Devin Haney. So we can at least say he still has that mentality. The question was the dedication. The question was the discipline. The question was all of the outside the ring antics, coupled with again being clean and not going dirty like he did when he fought Devin Haney with the Austrian situation. With all of that now behind him, what is his focus now as to be able to keep himself in check and in order? And I want to say this Ryan Garcia looks like a Garcia that is A-okay from the standpoint of direction, from the standpoint of mental stability, with the goal in mind of I need to win. Yeah, he might not be as comfortable from the standpoint of how he projects that type of confidence. From the standpoint of for the public eye, what they may want to see Ryan Garcia be like when he's trying to egg up a fight, egg up himself, and make sure he's focused and ready. It might not be in the way that people want to see it, but it does feel that we can at least have a little bit of faith that I think he's actually going to be true to form and be A-okay this time around. I do. I do. I say that with a little bit of trepidation, but I say that with more so a little bit better confidence. It's not that I wanted Ryan Garcia to quell his personality, though there are some things I wish he just cut out of himself entirely, especially when he went on that very concerning tirade roughly a year ago over social media. But though it hasn't been shown as the more even keeled manner, this Garcia is G'ing himself up because, one, he does feel good. He does look good from the standpoint of physically. He's already on weight, he says himself. Looks to be muscle-wise at this new division. Okay, boom. He's even filled out even more. Weight cuts should not be an issue this time around, though he did say he was hungry. So maybe it is. Who knows? Either way, we're looking at somebody, Ryan Garcia, who this should be a full acclamation of the powers that are laid inside of him without any side effects as to him having to fight in this division. Allegedly. He looks like he, without goosing, with this whole year off, with the work he's put in the gym, looks happy, looks actually fulfilled in some regards, looks to be that his mind is in the right place, which we've been all begging to see. It's gonna help him win the fight? Who knows? What it will do, however, is give us at least a hook to hang our hat on. There might be some faith in Ryan Garcia that he may be A-okay. He can actually realize this goal we've been waiting for him to realize, which is becoming a legitimate champion. Now, with that being said, there is the manner, and we're talking about working or looking at his drive. What is pushing him? What is causing him to seemingly have himself in the right place? What is making Ryan Garcia seemingly be who he needs to be? And I think what's happening is that we're seeing Ryan Garcia also come to grips with the fact that I need to be the best me I can be, because this is my last shot. This is it. At least in his mind. From the perspective of the patience of the boxing world, as we know, one loss can be detrimental. 2 losses is almost a death sentence. 3 losses, well, you might as well retire for a lot of people because you don't matter. At that point in time, you're fodder. You are now a fighter that we use to gauge others as to how good they can be, not how good you can be going up against the elites. That's the normal state that we see boxing go with from the sense of how the fans view them, how the sport stays with them or leave them behind. Ryan Garcia now got 2. And he understands that this stardom, as much as I can be a star, as much as I am a hot commodity, as much as I am a huge name, which he is, as much as I am one of the best selling fighters in the world, which is no debate about it. We're looking and saying, but he also understands that this fight it might be the last shot to keep that star growing. Doesn't just apply to other people that the patience of fighters runs thin. Doesn't just apply to other people that the substance of fighters can wane with the public view if you don't succeed. Ryan Garcia, we can say he fights everybody. We can say that he's a warrior. But at some point in time, there's got to be some proof in the pudding of this type of regime of talent going up against other championship level talent. It's more than just the will to go and challenge yourself. The substance also has to be, hey, you got to succeed with it. You got to win. Especially with the leash that we have with the likes of Ryan Garcia. it's a different leash than others because of the fact that his leash is driven by fame more than wins. His leash is driven by the likes of production, or pop and circumstance production, the social media follow, the grandeur of his charisma. Pretty boy, that's what people like to call him. Good looking. Looks really fit, and everybody's like, oh wow, he's a media darling. All this stuff has helped to propagate him as we constantly say, the modern day Oscar de la Hoya. From the standpoint of everybody loved him, everybody saw him, oh, he was pretty, oh, he could fight, oh, he could knock people out. And the media took him under his leash. One of the biggest faces in the sport at one point in time. One of the most recognizable faces in the sport when he was around. Because he had that in him. But it was also sustained by the fact that he even 39 and 4, 5 division champion, I believe. Incredible fighter. This is the substance that Ryan Garcia lacks, but this is the substance that while he has lacked it, it hasn't hurt him to the degree that we are saying, okay, we need to forget about it. We've had concerns. We've had gripes. We've had very much, really deliberate conversations on his ability, understandably so. But yet still, you could not walk the face of this sport's earth without having his name brought up in some way, shape, or form. And anytime he was brought up, even if he got forgotten in conversation, everybody perked up and said, what's he doing? What's going on? What can he do? Oh, he's got so much potential. Oh, he's got so much drive. He's got so much to say in the third. Everything about this cat can be so special. Rah, 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 rah. That's what happened. That's the favor of his career. But if he doesn't beat Barrios after losing to Rolling, that, like we talked about with other fighters, that patience will run thin. Anybody who loses to Rolling at that point in time, with all due respect to Rolling, that was a horrible predicament for them. Because of what that did for their careers, which it hurt them. It did. Yes, Rolly was a big mouth. Yes, Rolly was somebody who loved to talk. Yes, Rolly was somebody who was indeed more than happy to give you a piece of his mind. Sure. Yes, he had been involved in championship opportunities. Absolutely. All of that is well and good and true. But the value at which Rolly was seen at before he fought against Ryan Garcia, with the Tank Davis knockout, with the Isaac Cruz knockout, and then subsequently before that, with the Barroso's win, that was a horrible stoppage that he would have lost if it wasn't for a legitimate robbery. His stock was in the gutter, and everybody felt anybody that is of this caliber of notoriety, as with Ryan Garcia and others, should be able to whoop Rolly's butt. And anybody who lost to Rolly at that particular point in time, when Rolly was brought in as a tune-up fight to get the fight with Devin Haney, it was supposed to be an easy win that could sell because Rolly Romero can talk a big game, it can sell, and Ryan Garcia is Ryan Garcia. So easy money, easy eyes on the public, or from the public on the fight. Next thing you know, now we go into next year. Everybody's excited, and it should have been that we got at the end, or rather, at the end of that year, we got Ryan versus Devin Haney. But it didn't work out. And if it was anybody but Ryan Garcia that had lost that fight, would have been done. I firmly believe would have been done. The reputation and the stigma around it would have been completely finished. Completely finished. Absolutely finished. But because of who Ryan Garcia is, still was able to stay afloat. Not just that, stay relevant. Not just that, have even more identity in the news, though it was negative press, because wait a minute now, hold on, you ain't supposed to be losing to that. Maybe the Osprey situation was worse, all that stuff, but you still had staying power. But if you lose to Barrios, if you're Ryan Garcia, now that, from the perspective level of two fighters that, with all due respect to both of them, were seen at the time at which you fought them as not nearly as well versed in ability to be able to beat you. Though they are threats, nonetheless, the expected outcome is indeed so far pushed in your favor in the public eye. You lose now to Barrios after he had a draw with a 46-year-old Pacquiao. I'm telling you, that patience will dry up for Ryan Garcia. And he knows it. He knows it. He's eccentric. He's exciting. He is indeed looking to drum up investment in the fight again. He's going to do his thing, talk his talk, beat him. Yes. Same breath. He understands, and in the immediate, after that performance that he had against Rolly, he has something of any like similarity. He has any sort of similarity to that in this fight with Barrios. One, he will lose. And two, he will get plucked from the darling castle of media and fan recognition at the drop of a hat, in the same dominant vein that he's in right now. He'll never lose that big time stardom, but he will lose the type of stardom that got him these types of guaranteed opportunities without having any work for it. If Ryan Garcia wasn't Ryan Garcia, he would not be getting this shot against Barrios. If Ryan Garcia wasn't the name that he would not be getting this shot against Barrios after losing to Rolly Romero. After having that type of performance, he would not be earning a direct line to a championship if it wasn't for this type of identity with not just being able to sell, but the cachet that still lingers on your name. But it will fail if he loses to a Barrios in February. It will fail. It will falter. And he sees it. He recognizes it. All the craziness, all of the recklessness that we've seen throughout his career over the past 2 years. All the animosity, the scandals, allegations with Austria and otherwise. The drama. It was good from the standpoint of recognition, but it wasn't good from the standpoint of reputation. Your stardom and your reputation, they were going in a complete opposite direction, but because the public still cared, it didn't hurt you. But if he loses to Barrios with 3 losses on his career, there's going to be people that say, all right, yeah, we now know what this is with Barrios. We can, or with Rolly, we can go and kind of push it to the side. Case in point, look at what happened to Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant lost to Canelo. Then Caleb Plant lost to David Benavidez back-to-back. Then subsequently afterwards, had a war with Trevor McCumbee. Won that fight. Okay. But then he lost to Resendez in what was supposed to be a build-up to Charlo. With that loss to Resendez, Caleb Plant has been virtually non-existent as a name brought up against any of the top contenders at 168. With Shiraz, with Mbili, with Martinez. Any of them. Whether it's speculation with Janibek if he moves up to 168, or Carlos Davis if he moves up to 168, or shoot, even Edgar Berlanga after trying to have a comeback loss. Crickets from the world of what if he fought Plant. And the only reason why people were bringing up Plant are using him as a barometer, not as an actual, that would be a good fight that we could see Caleb Plant win and get back to the top of the tree from the standpoint of competitive fervor in the championship level. 3 losses, that brother's done. Nobody's using him as anything but from a comparison standpoint for matchups, a good fight to get the other guy back in potentially championship consideration, even if it's not guaranteed, because you have to do more work than just beating Caleb Plant. It's the concerning effort that we're seeing Ryan Garcia be 1 loss away from having that darling mentality of everything that you do, we can ignore it due to the fact that you're still this big-time star. He loses to Barrios for his 3rd loss in his career. I guarantee you the public will switch quick. They'll switch quick. They will switch quick. And they'll switch quick, man. And it can be incredibly damaging. It can be, absolutely. But let me see what you all got to say in response to everything that I said. Let me see, Timmy T, what's going on with you? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in the show. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. Yes, indeed, it's a blast. We're having so much fun. We want to see what you got to say. It's Ryan's power versus Barrios's volume from a in-ring perspective. Yet, if we're talking about the fight itself, absolutely. It is Ryan's volume versus Ryan's power versus Barrios' volume. Now, Barrios can crack. He does have some decent pop to him as well. Don't get me wrong. Remember, if you saw the fight, I believe, between him and Ramos, both of them got put down, but he ultimately was able to get the job done and put him out. He can throw some damaging shots. He can. But it is the activity that Barrios can bring to the table that makes him such a hard out to stop. And the brother's tall. Like tall. If you saw the fight, if you saw if you saw the press conference and subsequently afterwards the stare down between the two of them, I didn't recognize the height difference between Barrios and Ryan was that much of a substantial problem. And I say problem because of the fact that, yes, we saw him against somebody else like Tank Davis who came up to his division, and we understood the height difference there. But here, I've always said that Ryan Garcia is a pretty big guy for the division, and we're looking at him. I'm looking at him against Barrios, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, shoot. I didn't realize in that perspective, compared to somebody that isn't Tank size, okay, he's still a big cat. And he is, like, for real. Like Jimmy, like this dude, he's a big guy. I mean, like for real, like look at this. Take a look, again, face to face, looking at each other. You can kind of see this is the type of height discrepancy. Ryan is legit looking up at Barrios. Ryan's legit having to G up to somebody who is, I'm not going to say towering over him, but is a lot bigger than I expected. Is a lot taller than I expected. We've seen him fight multiple times in the career, but I think just seeing him against Ryan, who we've always said, okay, this cat has a body that can belong in multiple divisions. Testament to how much of a physical specimen the likes of Barrios is in kind as well. He's not dealing with some easy pushover type fighter. He's dealing with somebody that can actually put some real hurt, put some real damage, put some real bad sentiments in this fight. But let me keep on reading what you all have to say real quick before we continue on with the show. I don't think Barrios has enough power like Rolly to keep Ryan honest. He might not have the same power as Rolly, which is true, but he does have a jab. I mean, he's got enough damage that you do have to respect. You do have to respect. And he's got enough reach that he can keep you away and do that damage. That's where the concern comes into play. Let me see. Blanks, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We're so happy that you're here on today, on the show, on our live. Absolutely. Let me see what you got to say. Why does the world give Ryan so much credit? He's a C-level pro at best. Stop it. And mind you, I'm not giving him any credit, or I'm not trying to bring him down. I am saying that the darling mentality of Ryan, if he loses against Barrios, will fully go by the wayside. Because of the fact that this is the fight of any fight that we've said he can't afford to lose, this is one of the biggest. This is one of the most important fights right now for Ryan Garcia. If he is going to live up to everything that we have been saying he can be, it's got to be now. And it's got to be against this brother. Barrios even said himself, he's been called the weakest champion in his own division. Somebody everybody would love to come out and fight against. Not because they won't get a good fight, they will, but most of the people we can see, okay, they'll most likely beat Barrios. He hears that he hears that all the time. But whether Barrios believes it or not as true, which most likely he doesn't, because again, he is a warrior. For Ryan, the truth standpoint is, because that is the identity of what this fight is being put into perspective of, Ryan Garcia cannot afford to lose this fight, or else that darling type of fame, while it may never completely go away, it will be hurt to a degree that we can argue may be irreparable. Because people will stop wanting to waste time worrying about, okay, Ryan's going to finally live up to the potential of what he is. Because he's lost against Rolly and Barrios and Tank. Not Barrios, excuse me. He's lost to Rolly and Tank. And has had some somewhat questionable performances over the course of his career. And the one that he did do against Devin Haney popped dirty. So some people, a lot of people don't count that. So it's like you had too much stuff going on without the substance of victory that you need. And if he loses against Barrios, it's going to get really, really bad. How people going to view. Do you know who is training Ryan? Is it his pops? I think it is his dad who is training Ryan Garcia, I believe. But let me keep on reading. Blanks, Ryan's feet leave the floor when he gets excited. Let's stop. I mean, no, when he tries to go in for the kill and he tries to go through and knock somebody out, yes, you start leaping in punches. Yes, and yeah, you saw him bouncing around the press conference. I think he is excited. I think he is focused. You may not like the way he's putting out that focus because it looks like erratic, but it does seem more so a centered level of excitement. Yeah, I'm giddy, I'm antsy, I want to get the fight going, but I'm doing what I need to do this time. I feel like I need to feel in order to make this fight what it needs to be. At least in perspective. Or at least that's the hope of the perspective. And I truly believe that he is, okay, he's where he needs to be. But he's got to show it. Because if he doesn't, my gosh, it's going to be bad. But let me see. Fredo for life. Hey, buddy. Fredo, what's going on with you? How you doing? I'm good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show. What's on day? Excuse me. Let me drink some water real quick. So we can keep on having our conversation. Let me keep on reading what you all got to say. Are you not ready for opening night of the Zuffa card tonight? I believe it's what it's is it a Campo versus Welch that is fighting tonight on the opening card of Zuffa boxing for the first Zuffa boxing fight of essentially its inception? I think that's the headliner. What I'm excited for isn't necessarily the card itself. I want to see whether or not the matchmaking of Dana White that made the UFC so popular Though we see, okay, the names may not be as on paper blowing us out the water because everybody's saying I ain't heard a bunch of people that are on this card. But if it's the matchmaking of all that we usually see Dana White doing, okay, fine, this brother might be able to actually put some stuff together. What I'm not excited about though is still that Ali at. I still don't know whether this Zuffa boxing thing not just will last, but if it will be an actual hindrance or a additive. Because they've said they don't want to work with other unification bodies. But everybody that's big that has signed with them, like Jai Apatai, wants the championships and undisputed titles in boxing. WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, and the ring. All of them. And most likely other boxers who do sign with them are going to want to do the same thing. Sure, we've even heard, I've heard rumblings, I don't know if it's true, I've heard rumblings that even Bam may want to sign with the likes of Zuffa. Shoot, even potentially with Virgil Ortiz trying to get out of his contract with the likes of Oscar De La Hoya, we could see, hypothetically, Virgil sign with Zuffa. But the point still stands. What is their care for the fighters when dealing with money and dealing with movement in the division or in any division when they've said publicly, we don't want to work with anybody else except for the Ring magazine? So, you got Josh saying one thing, you got the Zuffa saying another, you got Dana White essentially not being as fervent with answering some of these questions that we need to have answered. The Ali X situation, and since he's saying if this does go through the House, good and bad, it can come its way. It can cap fighters' pay. I believe that's one thing that has the capacity to potentially cap fighters' pay, hold them to only 6-year contracts, as well as make it so that there's no interim titles except for injury or elongated absence that is out of the control of the boxer for health reasons or otherwise. Outside of that, interim champions are no longer a thing. With the acts, with the Ali Revival Act that Dana was trying to push in, to essentially make it so that his Zuffa Boxing organization can run as an organization and not as a commission, for it to be separate, so that it can have its own rules and its own regulations, and as a separate organization under the Ali Revival Act that will have the capacity to operate differently than how the belt commissions and all the other sanctioning bodies act, to the best of my understanding. And as right now, I'm kind of concerned at whether that can help or hurt. So I'm excited to see, because it's something new. But at the same time, there's a tinge of distrust. Not even a tinge. It's a hefty manner of distrust that I have. Very hefty manner. Because it's Dana White. As much as I don't want to be a downer, it's Dana White. Because it's Dana White, it can get concerning. It can really get concerning. Not because I got ill will against him, but because of the track record. It's the track record. It is the track record that is the shame. But let me see. A new era has begun in boxing. It is a new era. Like, we're going to see if it works or not, but it is a new era, Fredo. You are absolutely right. Let me see how Ryan is like ODB in the Wu-Tang. Let's be real. He's all hype. His drama and shock value gets eyes. Boxing skills isn't the reason he's relevant. No. Well, so he has, again, Ryan Garcia's thing is potential and the value of his stardom. Social media following and otherwise. Like I said earlier in the show, it might have been a little bit before you came in here. But that's what is driven. But now the substance has to happen. He's at a wall now. That's essentially what I'm trying to tell people. Ryan Garcia is at a wall at this point in time. He has to win. It's not an excuse. He has to win against Barrios, not just because, he wants to be a champion. He has to win because if he loses this fight, all of the other stuff that kept him relevant won't be able to help him in the same way anymore. At least in my perspective, for what the public is going to say. And they will say, Ryan, you were never that great. Ryan, we shouldn't care. This is the third time you said you retooled, you regrouped, you refocused, you've gotten yourself right, you've put yourself together, and yet still you can't do a doggone thing. Another trainer that didn't work for you. First it was Derek James, then it was Goosen, and now it's your father. Everything ain't working. Something's got to go, and it might have to be you, because you just can't get it done at this level. You'll still sell, but we're not going to talk about you nearly as much as a when you coming back type of situation. Again, just like with Caleb Plant. Though Caleb Plant wasn't nearly as big of a star, we're talking about from the perspective of the same way Caleb Plant dropped off in the public eye after his third loss. Granted, he was fighting even stiffer competition back to back with those losses. But that loss to Rescindes, when it was thought to be a gimme, that's the straw that broke the camel's back on how a lot of people viewed Caleb Plant. And now we only view him as a footnote and a litmus test for others, rather than can he still be a championship contender. We're not even bringing him up in any championship conversations. He's not even ranked in the 10th. I don't even think he's ranked 10th at 168 anymore. He's in the same boat as Charlo, and Charlo been out for almost 3 years, and Charlo at least came back and won. In terms of Jamal, that's the problem. I don't want Ryan to get there, but that's where he can get to. Absolutely. Let me see. I see the same fire in Ryan when he fought Devin. I'd say Barrios is in trouble, and Ryan is a man on a mission. And he has to be Albert Real. Absolutely. We see and I'm going to see if I can try to find some clips of the press conference. But I said this kind of before people started trickling in. Ryan Garcia is looking to get the old gusto back, which is incredible. But what he's also looking forward to is to make sure that he, as a fighter, is on the up and up. That I gotta be as driven as I was against Devin Haney. Because I can't let that type of energy leave me ever. I can't. Because if I don't have that type of all my chips are on the table in the biggest fight of my life type of situation, every single night out now, I can go and falter. He's talking about he's taking better care of his body. His body is a temple now. He's trying to go through and be disciplined in the gym consistently. He's cut out some stuff. In his own words, he, at least from the outside perspective, has looked to put in the work to make it so that he can get to where he needs to be. But that doesn't mean that it can happen. Don't mean it's guaranteed, as nothing is. But what is guaranteed is the fact that he's at least focused. If this is the true regime that he is working to return to, of dominance and dedication. But my gosh, if he doesn't, he knows the ramifications, which is why he's so focused on. But let me see. I think for Zuffa starting out, they have some good fighters. Apataya, Ryo, Efe Ajagba, Walsh, Boachuk. I hope it works out personally. I'm not the biggest Dana White fan. However, this will give fighters another way to make money and give us fans more fights. And in that perspective, I understand absolutely. The prospect of being able to have Zuffa boxing as a potential fix to the issues that we've had with boxing as a whole sounds incredibly promising. Even with the whole Ali Revival Act, essentially, if it does get passed all the way through, part of it is take away interim championships entirely. One champion per division for each sanctioning body, no interim champions outside of extended recesses from the sport and or injury. Then nothing else. So the WBC can't be giving out a belt every single other week to every single person that wins IBF does what they've been doing with their mandatories and everything, but there's no interim. You number one, you number one. If you number two, you number two, and that's it. WBA, WBC, all of that would take precedent for the whole of the sport, which is great. It's the back end with that good thing that we say that we want. It's the other side of the spectrum. Potentially lowballing fighters because they're held to contracts that are not worth the value of who they are. Stuck in there for 6 years, you ain't making a whole bunch of money with that whole prospect program that they got going on, only paying, what, $75K, $50K. Same reason why people in the UFC want to go to boxing, because they're getting paid at a big-time level, that same status. And boxing has well and good a lot more wealth behind it. Dana White, even is bringing in a whole bunch of money. Even that with TKO, they got money to blow to some degree. And it's the stinginess that we've seen in the past can make it so that maybe it won't be worth their while. And don't let it be that we see that Jai Patai gets the ability to fight for the championships, but then others who come in and say, hey, you did it for him, can you do it for me? Now they don't let it happen. Guess what? They start losing fighters. Guess what? Now that whole organization starts getting devalued because the best of the best, the fighters that are signed with them, aren't able to fight against them. Because we don't value, as an organization, not a promotion, an organization, we don't value what those other commissions are doing. Even if those commissions are right in who they have as champion or the best in whatever regime. It's a slippery slope. If this goes bad, it can go bad real quick. I hope it works. I do. I don't want to understand. I'm not rooting for it to fail. If it succeeds, this could be a great change for the structure of this sport that we've had as a lawless land for upwards of 100 years. It could. It really could. But if we overlook the signs, it can be. It can get dangerous. Absolutely. Let me see. I need a Burr. What's going on with the Burr? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show with us on it. Hopefully you shameless plug. Please leave a like on the stream. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. We love to hear it. We love to see it. Absolutely. Let me keep on hearing what you all got to say. Ryan is not winning Barrios at all. Front. You saying it's more so of a facade with bravado, and he actually ain't gonna win. It may be. I've said it multiple times. Barrios can upset Ryan Garcia. He absolutely can. He can. But let me see. Fredo Welch, do you think with Zuffa now, we will be seeing less of Turkey blowing big amount of money on fights? Sure wish he paid for Boots and Virgil. LOL, I can hope. Now, granted, Virgil Ortiz, was it Boots and Virgil Ortiz? I think one of them got an option to fight on a card with Turkey Al Sheikh. And that fight could have been made. I think it could have been made. But I forget exactly how it unfolded where they didn't sign with Turkey. I think that it was on the table for a Turkey card and then something went awry and it didn't happen. But the question, will he throw around money as much? I think it'll be a more concerted effort to make Zuffa work because TKO, same company behind WWE, is working behind Dana White and Zuffa, which Al Sheikh is also a part of. So I think it'll be less, but I don't think he'll neglect the bigger fights still. To still say, okay, we need something to make happen. We're going to pay out this money. Mind you, the whole Virgil Ortiz situation with Boots can still happen on the Canelo undercard. If Virgil wins this deal and he's able to get out of his contract before that date gets fully announced before the card gets fully made for Canelo, we could see Virgil versus Boots on the undercard as the co-main event for Canelo Alvarez in his championship fight on September, was it 13th? We could see. Hypothetically, we could see it. So he'll still give money. But I do think it'll be a more concerted effort to try to make it so that Zuffa can thrive and put money there. But at the same time, Dana's got to make it so that fighters want to be there. At the same breath, Dana's got to make it so that fighters want to be there. Because TKO may be back in the money, but Dana's the one that's putting this whole thing together. He's the one setting the structure. If it fails, I guarantee you, Tucker will let it fail. You say, "Are you on your own?" I feel pretty optimistic that if it don't work out, yeah, he'll go back to what he's been doing. But he does want Zuffa to work, so he will put in the money. I guarantee you. I promise you. I promise you, absolutely. Let me see. Hulk Hogan, Conor, Ronda, not the most skillful. Drama and antics make money these days. These names weren't the best, but they made money. Ryan is here. He'll always make money. And you are right. Now, granted, at the time that Ronda Rousey was indeed dominant, she was the best female MMA fighter in the world. Like that stint in that at that point in time in the UFC, yeah, it was actually worth her while. Now, subsequently afterwards, second elevation of talent went up, lost all the home, lost Nunez, all that stuff, and then you got to see the decline can take place. Yes, but all-time great nonetheless for what she was at that point in time, at that specific, essentially one of the Mount Rushmores of female MMA, or women's MMA as a whole. I can't take that away. I know what I saw when she was there. She was indeed dominant. For that era, yeah, she was indeed skilled. However, antics and drama make money. You're right. But remember, we have been saying on this channel, we're getting out of that. Remember, we've been saying we're getting out of that. The substance of fighters is starting to mean more, or at least mean more than it used to. And it's got to match the pomp and circumstance that you bring to the table. That's where Ryan Garcia is faced with right now. At this current zeitgeist and opinion. We were about to drop Devin Haney and how people viewed him in an immense way. If he didn't win against Brian Norman Jr., and he's still one of the most talked about names in the sport. If he had lost to Brian Norman Jr., buddy, what we would have said about him, regardless of his own fame, would have been in the dirt. Because the substance wasn't there. If he had lost. Anthony Joshua was still a huge name, but we don't talk about him in the same way. Why? Because the substance, to some degree, has been lost with Anthony Joshua. Even Tyson Fury. We don't talk about Tyson Fury after those two losses to Usyk in the same vein anymore, though his status is still as an entertainer, sure, is incredible, but it's still carrying him because he has so much of a legitimate resume, absolutely. But it even somewhat diminished a little for a while the public talks about him. He went from all-time great to, oh, wait a minute, he wasn't as good as we may have thought. I remember the swing in deposition. Deontay Wilder, one of the most exciting heavyweights that we've seen in boxing of this generation, has now gone and turned into fodder and is completely ignored. And he's got what? 3 losses on his resume. Is it 3 or 2? Yeah, 4. I'm sorry. Fury, Parker. 3 losses on his resume. 44-3 with 43 KOs. And within those 3 losses, wiped off the face of the earth in terms of relevancy in the heavyweight division and what his opinions are in the perspective. The world. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Why am I? Hold on. I'm sorry. My radio's. What the world's going on? Wait a minute. What the world's going on? What in the world? What happened there? I don't know what happened. My I don't know what. I'm sorry, yo. I heard music. I ain't trying to get copyright stricken, so I was incredibly scared. And so I was trying to do, all of a sudden my Spotify started playing through the radio. And or rather speakers I got in my room. And I was taken aback. My goodness. I don't know. I don't know what the world that was about, but even still. But back to the conversation at hand. It's substance, he's got to prove it. That's the biggest thing. He has to prove it. And if he doesn't prove it, regardless of what the cachet is, it will be a bad day for him. It will. Let me see. Blanks, he got a Tasha after an L. Come on, how? Yeah, it's because of the status. It should have been Rolly Romero. It should have been Rolly Romero that got another title opportunity. But also, Rolly kind of dragged his feet by kept constantly turning down fights. So that was another problem. Either way, he shouldn't have gotten it. That's why I've said this is an undeserved opportunity. If it wasn't for his cachet. Eddie Hearn said if Virgil and Boots didn't happen, Josh Kelly is Boots' next opponent. All right. Great. Cool. I love it. Now, granted, Robert Garcia and Bozianis also kind of came to an agreement that, hey, we are going to have that fight happen. They even shook hands on it with each other in I believe it was in a hotel lobby on camera with Sean Zedel, one of the featured journalists in the world of boxing, one of the more legitimate quality journalists in the world of boxing. He did it. And in terms of, he said, yeah. Both of them agreed to it, yeah, in front of him, that we're gonna fight. We already got two people fighting against each other that are on in our stable. We're gonna do it again. That fight will happen. That's a quote from Robert Garcia. The fight's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They want it, and the fighters want. I'm telling you, the fighters want it. Once Virgil gets out of De La Hoya's clutches, watch it. It's gonna be. We're going to finally get it on. And when it does, boy, what a time it will be. No question about it. Gary Antoine Russell just got a title shot coming off of a loss, believe it or not. Lost to Puello, and next fight got the champion, Rayo. Is that true? I thought he had gotten a win after that opportunity with Rayo. Am I wrong? I thought he had gotten a win after Puello. If he did, like I said, that's also, again, that's a shame. I don't think it should be you getting a medium title shot after you lose against anybody. Unless you are, again, in a position where, hey, like a Canelo, you're so big that, okay, I get it. But even then, I don't like it. So it's wrong then, it's still wrong now. Now, I will say, is it a title shot with a different belt organization? Because Rolly beat Ryan. No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. No, Rolly became WBA interim champion, got elevated to full-blown champion. Ryan's not fighting for the WBA. He's fighting for the WBC because WBC gave him a legitimate world title shot. Subsequently, after his ban, off of the loss. But again, we've talked about the WBC before and the level of corruption that they've had, favoring certain fighters in certain situations that they don't deserve to be, giving opportunities to people or elongated stays as champions, not going against the best available options, like with Canelo, like with Errol Spence. But then when people like Terrence Crawford and others get the belt up, now either you fight this or you go away. That's what's going on. It's a shame, but sadly, that's why part of Zuffa boxing, the structure, hopefully can be a signal to get better or something to get better with, hopefully, prayerfully. But either way, one last thing. One thing I hate in boxing is fighters being elevated to champion instead of getting the belt in the ring. Everybody should have to fight for a vacant at least. That would be the best situation, but that's also why I don't hold it against boxers who became champions by it being put on them by belt commissions, because it's not their fault that the commission didn't make it so that the fight would go to somebody else, or rather, okay, we gotta you gotta fight for this belt. They can make it happen, but oftentimes they don't. They put it on the most notable name in the division or wherever that belt is lost at, even sometimes above the highest ranking fighter. Like Tank was a WBA champion, but he never fought for it. But he could have fought for that title against any of the top 5 in the division to become a full-blown champion. He could have done it. But they didn't make that happen. They just made it, here you go. But I don't like that that's the fact that this stuff happens. But I'm not going to hold it against people, or boxers rather, that we see that happen. So it's ridiculous. So I'm with you in that regard as well. Let me see. A guy like Blair Cobb should fight with Zuffa. It might help him. It could help him. I could see it. Zuffa has the capacity to help a lot of the Blair Cobbs of the world in boxing fight early, fight often, as well as fight and get their name recognized. It can be a quick pipeline, like they said initially when they were talking about going through and getting fighters to help bolster people, to pass them on to the Ring magazine rankings, or in essence, elevating platform to pass through the championship level with a now backing name that has substance that people can recognize and feel. It's almost like a program that pushes you through. You do the work here, great. Now you got your cachet, you elevate it, we put marketing behind you, and now you can go into the big time world of championship level and see what you can do. At least that's the goal. That's one of the goals in the way. Let me see, Young Guns, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show with us on today. Let me see what you got to say. Andy Cruz is Keyshawn Daddy, Willie B, Murtala Daddy, and we can actually talk about that a little bit on this fight. And Fredo, I see you with the Chisora news. We're going to talk about Chisora and Wilder. We also got conversations with, I think Ruiz and Usyk was thrown around as well for the likes of that matchup with Wilder and Chisora. And then when they win against those respective opponents, then they're going to face off against each other. So that's what I'm hearing. So either way, I'm excited to see how it goes. Let me see. Also, Edgar Cologne, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. I appreciate you taking time out on your Friday afternoon, to come through and be a part of the hottest show in all the Golden West Report. And Truth as well, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Bobby, thank you as well for tuning into the show. All of you, welcome to the Welch Report yet again. We are having a great time. It is the championship rounds. As we do a quick shameless plug, championship rounds for the entirety of the show. We got 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, excuse me, the entirety of this show dedicated to you, the people. You put your questions, your comments in the chat, as we do every single Friday, and we can talk about them. We let the conversation ebb and flow to what you all have to say. We're going to try to touch on as many topics as we can based on your preferences, and if I can talk about it, I can be about it and discuss it with you. If I can't, hey, I'll say, you know what, I may not know as much on the subject, but we'll do the best that we can. We want to have your voice be a part of this conversation. Absolutely no question about it. But as that being said, hey, keep on liking the stream, keep on sharing the show, and if you want to help support the channel, Cash App, PayPal, links down below, super chats and gifts and all that stuff. If you can give to the show, would mean the world to me, helps me to pay some bills, because I can't do this without you, and viewers like you help make this show possible. So we appreciate you all tuning in so much. And back to the action on today. What is the topic you are discussing now? Right now, we are kind of jumping back and forth between reacting to Zuffa Boxing having their debut, I believe tonight, and whether or not it can work, whether or not it'll fail, and whether or not we can trust Dana White. That's the first kind of pseudo number one topic. The other topic is delving into Andy Cruz and Murtala, and then subsequently Wilder, Chisora, and some news with Usyk. So because we saw Young Guns first, let me address his question with Murtala. Murtala, crazy enough, as we real quick, we can actually break down this fight real quick. Crazy enough, We can actually do a quick breakdown of this fight. Ray Murtala going up against Andy Cruz is a very interesting affair because Andy Cruz, watching the film, Andy Cruz does not have faster hands than Ray Murtala. Murtala as a puncher is a faster puncher. And part of the reason why that knockout ratio is so damaging. 17 KOs, 23 wins in his career. Legitimately a dangerous champion. Andy Cruz, though he's only 6-3, he has so much fluid skill, though, that he can overcome that speed that Murtala is trying to bring to him with the punching ability. Again, Murtala, he's a sharp puncher, whatever, but he can crack, and he's got some legitimate good technique. The issue with Andy Cruz comes with, can he get the respect of Murtala, and will he, with what we've been hearing from Boozy Ennis, will he show that elevated level of power when he sits down on his shots to be able to hurt the likes of Murtala and dissuade Murtala from feeling free to say, you know what, I can throw these hard shots unabated without fear that I'm going to get caught in response. If that does happen with Andy Cruz, I got Andy Cruz winning. And I do have Andy Cruz winning this fight, be clear. I do, just so you know. Just so you know. I do have him winning this fight. Truly, I do. And it's because I do think he's a better fighter. Truly. But like I've said countless times before, it is now or never. Because he's already 32 years old. Yes, he's had a young pro debut or pro career because of his vast amateur experience. Understandable. At the same breath, I don't want to just go off of you beat Keyshawn in the Olympics as the main thing for a while. Okay, yeah, this guy can be great. I need to see a championship around his waist against somebody that I feel, if you can beat Murtala, okay, you got a good rhyme and reason to say that the rest of this division can become one of the favorable grounds for you to be a dominant, unified champion. You still got some other fights you're going to have to deal with, understandable. You still got some other tests around 135 as well as 140 if you want to talk about him moving up if he so chooses. There's a lot of different windows of opportunity that he can go and fight some real bad boys, bad men. And by bad, I mean like dominant, quality, which is where a lot of people say he belongs in, which is no problem there. I have no issue with it. I would love to see him versus Abdullah Mason. If we see Murtala win, Murtala versus Mason, or excuse me, we see Cruz win, Andy Cruz versus Abdullah Mason, unification bout. I would love to see that. I would love to see, him versus, not necessarily William Zepeda, but with Floyd Schofield having rumblings that he may be getting a championship opportunity soon, I wouldn't be mad to see Andy Cruz versus Floyd Schofield. If we see Andy Cruz win, there's a lot of quality matchups I would like to see, and even going up to 140, because everybody that's been a big name, like Shakur, like Lamont, like Tank Davis, like Keyshawn Davis, all have moved up to 140. I would love to see him fight any of those. I would love to see him take a shot at Richardson Hitchens. I would love to see him take a shot at the likes of, Lamont Welch, if even. There's a lot of good names that I would love to see him go against if he can make this successful. Because you're going to have to move quick to make sure he can take advantage of his prime. So I think he's going to win. But it's out of necessity. Good boy, if he loses, man, it can be a monster of a time. But let me see. Wilder against Chisora. Wilder against Chisora is a great fight, I think. Chisora is on a 3-fight win streak, but his style will be open for Wilder right hand. This is a better matchup than Usyk versus Wilder. Yes, it is. Thank the Lord. Thank gosh. Oh, my goodness. I'm so happy. And again, if you didn't hear the news, let's break some news right now for some of you all tuning in. Wilder versus Chisora looks to be the fight that's getting close to finalized instead of the fight with Usyk versus Wilder. Even though Wilder was granted a voluntary title opportunity going up against Usyk, those talks seemingly have dissolved, and we're going to see Chisora now fight against Wilder in what most likely will be Chisora's last fight. If he loses. If he wins, Lord knows he could keep going. Who knows at this point in time? And it's a fight that makes sense. It's a fight that stylistically is incredibly exciting. And it's a fight that, I'm going to be serious, it's dangerous for Wilder. It's dangerous for Wilder. Because as much Chisora's there to get hit, Wilder has had so much tough time pulling the trigger over the last course of his 3 fights. Even the fight with Herndon, a brother that he was able to walk down. He still wasn't, he looked better, but he still wasn't throwing the same level of intensity, animosity, confidence in his right hand and punches as a whole. He's still trying to box too much, and he's trying to overload his thinking with trying to do too much of the right stuff instead of just fighting like Wilder. Because if he does that against Chisora, it's not going to be the same level of, okay, I'm going to catch you, hurt you, and you're going down. If this fight does indeed happen, we got to see this brother get away from the Malik Scott school of thinking and fight like he can fight. If anything, get back good with the likes of Mark Breland, because you're going to need it. Because ever since you left him, you've looked worse and worse ever since. Since that 3rd fight with Tyson Fury, which was one of the greatest modern day heavyweight clashes we've ever seen in this generation. One of the best clashes of heavyweight wars we've ever seen in this generation. A phenomenal trilogy. But since that day, you have never been the same. Chisora is going to be the same thing Joseph Parker was to you. Chisora is going to have that same knockout ability, or at least damaging ability, that we saw with Big Bang Zhang, even though he's not nearly as technically sound as Zhang. But he's got a league's better gas tank. That same shot Zhang hit you with in what, round 3 to 5, is the same shot Chisora can land on you in round 12 if it goes late. When you get tired. So you're going to be in some danger. But it's a way better fight. Thank God. And if you win that, okay. You get a title opportunity after that, fine. At least you had some poise against somebody that had some momentum. And you beat somebody that had something going for them. A lot better than what we were seeing from you in your last time out. When you were getting ready to get an opportunity against a fighter that wasn't nothing in Herndon. So absolutely. It's all well and good. But let me see, now I like elevated champion. And I see where, going back to the other conversation, I see where you're coming from with the elevated champion conversation. That's why, again, like I said, I don't hold, if you become a champion by being elevated or quote unquote email champ, I don't hold that against you, because you did earn the interim title shot. And that interim title is supposed to guarantee you a shot at the real world title. Essentially, it acts as a Money in the Bank briefcase for my wrestling fans out there. You get this, you're guaranteed a shot as the mandatory for whatever championship this mandatory is for. Because you earned it. Joseph Parker earned it. Terrence Crawford earned it. Benavidez earned it twice. And finally got elevated when he beat Morrell, and then Bebo didn't fight him. It rewards those who actually put in the work. That's why I'm not mad at it. That it is a thing. Absolutely. But we are excited to see how it all goes away. Murtala's going to crack Andy. I've been telling you, man. Look, hey, if he does, you absolutely right. And I can, and again, studying the film, I can see why he would. Especially we see Andy Cruz dip down with that Philly shell, and he gets caught with an uppercut. Oh, he can get hurt bad. Oh, he can get hurt real bad. Well, we see Murtala land that straight rear hand on the back of Andy Cruz's head. If Andy Cruz can't get out of the way in time, boy, that can be bad. That can be dangerous. Murtala, he's a dog, man. He's a real dog. Let me see. Edgar, Tyson Fury doesn't know how to lose. Well, I would say he does, because he lost twice. He did. Now, he put up valiant efforts in both of those losses. Credit to him. He had a phenomenal 2 fights against the likes of Usyk. Both of them were very exciting. But again, he's learned how to lose, because he did lose. Now, coming back, That's interesting. Now, reportedly, Andy Ruiz has now been in talks to fight against the likes of either Usyk or Tyson Fury as a tune-up fight for Tyson Fury. That's the rumor mill I've been hearing over the course of the past couple weeks, or rather the last couple days, when it comes to the world of boxing and the heavyweight landscape. So be on the lookout for Tyson Fury in his comeback trail, aiming to get a fight with Anthony Joshua still. He could come back against Andy Ruiz, former unified heavyweight champion, who beat Anthony Joshua. Trying to make a statement. Also trying to beat somebody that, again, is beatable. Get the ring rust off. Get back healthy. Get back in rhythm. He's going to need it. He's going to need it. Especially if he does come back for AJ and wins, he's going to try to come back for a world title outright and look for Usyk one more time in the trilogy. So he's getting older. It's now or never. So that's why he's working so hard and trying to get on the ball. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Absolutely. Let me see Bobby 711. Let me see what you got to say. Oscar said Zuffa card is lackluster and is being in a small UFC Apex in Las Vegas rather than a major boxing venue. I believe that is true. Now, that's not a knock because a lot of things that Dana White's going to do in the early stages of Zuffa boxing is going to be housed in UFC locations already, using the already known UFC stable or UFC facilities that they've had. It's going to be probably for the first couple cards. That's going to be where they're home to. And then when they get a situation like Jaya Patai fighting on a big time stage, because he's right now the biggest name that they got. He'll fight in an actual stadium. They'll get an actual venue for him. And then from there, when they get more bigger star, because it could be it all crashes and burns. If they get bigger stars under their belt or make stars bigger while in Zuffa, then they'll have more stadium shows that people will want to turn into. But right now, you're not going to see a whole bunch of big-time names and big-time fights, probably for the first couple months of this show, for the standpoint of the show that they're going to be putting on, because they don't have a bunch of people. This is the start of a promotion. It's the start of an organization. They're not going to have a bunch of people clamoring for them, especially when they're violently trying to disturb the structure of boxing in such a way that it could be harmful to the fighters' careers monetarily. It's going to be a lot of trepidation up until we get some proven substance from Zuffa. So most likely you're going to see a lot of these cards be in these smaller venues, at least for the first year or so of this regime. Then afterwards, then they'll start ramping up and doing bigger things, and more people will have signed for that fight. Let me see. I'm excited for Oscar versus Dana White drama. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I guarantee you it's going to bleed into Dana versus Eddie Hearn, Dana versus Frank Warren, and ultimately Dana White versus Bob Arum. He's going to butt heads with about every other promotional group in the world of the big three or four, or PBC, also Al Heyman. Of the big four, he will most likely butt heads with all of them at some point in time. I would argue within the first year of their inception. So the drama's just getting started, I guarantee you. I pick Wilder over Chisora. At this point in time, Chisora's a better fighter. At this current point in time, Chisora is a better fighter than the likes of Deontay Wilder. I don't know why I lost my train of thought for a second. At this point in time, Chisora is a better fighter than Deontay Wilder. Currently. He hasn't lost what he is. Wilder is still trying to get back to what he was. That's going to be, for me, that's going to be the biggest difference. Let me see. F.A. Ajagba versus Charles Martin. They're supposed to fight each other. They are. I'm not excited for that fight. We thought we were going to get not a Coley. Lord knows not a Coley. I do not want to watch Lawrence Coley ever again. I thought we were going to get F.A. Ajagba versus Martin Bakoli in a rematch of what they had in Riyadh season. I was hoping we were going to see that fight. That is the fight I was clamoring to see in a rematch. I was. I was absolutely clamoring to see that fight happening in a rematch. I wish we had gotten that. It's a match that, okay, Charles Martin, former champion, for like a breeze, can hold his own, but he's not nearly all that great. Efe Jagba has been underperforming, or rather underperforming as a subsequent rising heavyweight star, though he's ranked in the top 10 of the boxing world for the heavyweight standings. Still lackluster in his development when trying to compete at this elite level. It makes sense, but it's not something I'm excited. It's not something I'm personally excited for. Let me see. He said he beat Usyk. He doesn't accept it. He in terms of Tyson Fury, he's gonna say that he doesn't. It's the blind confidence of being a champion. Unless you get knocked out every fight that you didn't get knocked out and you feel like you won. I guarantee you that is the delusion that has made Tyson Fury be able to beat Tyson Fury. And he probably does feel, hey, I beat him. Especially that first fight. He probably feels, man, I know I got him that first fight. Even with the knockdown, I know I did enough to beat him. And so, in his mind, yeah, now I see what you're saying when you say he doesn't know how to lose. He doesn't. Because in his mind, I don't lose. And you need that type of confidence as a champion. You do. AJ will drop Fury, not saying he will win, but he will drop him, may the best man win. What I've been wanting to see that fight for upwards of 5 years. That should have been the first. If we were ever going to see a trilogy between two people, it should have been Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua in the UK. It should have been. When they were both at their best. When they were both at their best. That should have been the greatest UK trilogy that we've ever seen. When they were both at the best of their careers. Fury, when he came back and subsequently became WBC champion. AJ, when he was undefeated and winning against everybody left, right, and center before Andy Ruiz. It should have been a no-brainer. We make that unification happen now. And we start a rivalry that can span upwards of 3 years, maybe 5. Who knows what history would have looked like if that happened. My gosh, though, I would love to see it. I would have loved to see it. And I still want to see it. And so, yeah, may the best man win. Because both of them are going to be completely different from what they were. It's going to be I think it's going to be a completely different fight than what any of us may expect because of what they both are at this stage in their careers, which they're not the same fighters. They're not. The confidence of AJ is still trying to be worked through, let alone with this whole travesty that was the fatalities that happened in Nigeria with his friends and trainers. Who knows where his mindset is? And Tyson Fury, he's lost his legs. He can't move like what was seen as the best heavyweight in the world when he was 6'7", or more like 6'5", 6'6", but gliding around the ring with the greatest of beasts. What the world? With age comes erosion. That's what we're experiencing. So it's going to be a different fight than we expected, but it's still going to be good, and I can't wait to see it. Let me see. Apatai has talked about... Apatai was talking about it heavyweight. A guy like F.A. wouldn't be a bad matchup. If Jai Apatai, well, one, he's not moving up until he gets Zurdo Ramirez. Be clear on that. Be clear on that.
Hey, look at this. We got some problems here.
I promise you.
We got some problems here.
He is not moving up until he fights against the likes of Zurdo or Benavidez, depending on who wins on in May. Cinco de Mayo. I believe it's Cinco de Mayo. Which I still can't believe Benavidez is moving up to cruiserweight this quickly. If he beats, I'm telling you, if he beats Zurdo at cruiserweight in his first fight up there, when this is the test of, okay, this is where stuff can get dangerous, boy, the conversation we're going to have with Benavidez is insane. But regardless of who wins that fight, Apatai is not moving to heavyweight until he gets that opportunity. Afterwards, That's where guys like F.A. Ajagba would be very interesting for him to fight against, but at the same time, huge threats. Martin Bacoli, huge threat because of the power. We're now getting people that are able to match Jaya Patai in danger. Even if you feel he's a better fighter. That risk is a very steep climb. It ain't as much as we can say heavyweights have eroded in their ability to have multifaceted skills as we've gotten into the era of giants. Though Usyk has kicked or nixed that persona by him being the best heavyweight in the world, it's still a land of giants that it's hard. You got to be something special to thrive, not just survive, but thrive up here, especially at the championship caliber. Usyk makes it look easy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. AJ Caballero make it look like, okay, yeah, you can do it too. You can't. It ain't the same. That's why I hope he doesn't move up there up until he fights against one of the winners or whoever wins between Zerto and Benavidez. But F.A. Ajagba would be a good opportunity. If you want to really push the envelope of speed on his ability to get recognition, he could go and fight against the likes Big Bang Jang, Joe Joyce. If you want an easy matchup to go through and make a big splash to show your power, you knock out Joe Joyce. Could be something. There's some names that while they're fodder, they still carry some weight that if you get a win over them, hey, that's something spectacular. Dillian White is now in a position where he is a litmus test for anybody coming into the world of boxing or heavyweight. If you really want to make a splash, take out one of the prospects at heavyweight. Hey, go fight Richard Torres Jr. Since everybody's saying he's going to be something special, you take him out. End the Great American Hope. That is the only other legitimate American heavyweight that the country has hopes of making a splash with. Beat him and put everybody on notice. Hey, buddy, y'all ain't nothing. This is my division to rule. The only prospect here is the prospect of me becoming a champion. Go sit down. Take your gold, take your silver or bronze medal with you. Whatever Richard Torres won. I can't remember exactly which medal he won, but take it with you. Go do it. Make a splash. And I use America because I would love to see Jai Bata become a real fixture as an American recognized dominant heavyweight. Because we ain't getting excited for nobody over here in the heavyweight landscape. And even Wilder has kind of waned. I would love if we can get behind Jai Bata. He ain't ours, but I would love if we actually became fans of his. Because he, at heavyweight, my gosh, if it works out, can be a destructive menace that everybody should want to see. America, UK, New Zealand, Australia, I don't care where you're from. This cat deserves some recognition. Make a splash over here in the States since so many people say this is what needs to happen. And next thing you know, everybody knows your name. I want to see that. I would not be mad at all to see that. Not at all. Let me see. Who you pick, Barrios or Ryan? I pick Ryan. I picked Ryan Garcia as well to win this fight, especially with the added level of excitement and seemingly a drive to succeed that we haven't seen in a manner like this in a hot minute. Yes, it still may have people concerned that, okay, he might not be the even killed fighter that people may want. But from the standpoint of self-belief and seemingly, it may look sporadic, but he does indeed look like, okay, he's full of life. This is the type of Ryan Garcia that can be an incredibly dangerous asset for a multiplicity of people. Yes, he can. And that's why I'm so excited to see him. And I wanted to win. I do think that his speed is going to be a very destructive thing for the likes of Barrios. I do think that Ryan Garcia will be able to apply pressure against Barrios. And because of his hand speed, be able to beat him with sharper punches, more specifically the hooks and the straight right when he's in his range as he's pressing on Barrios. If he can make sure he does not get caught with a shot to the head like he did against Rolly Romero and doesn't have his defense up. Biggest thing I'm concerned with is the defense of Ryan Garcia. Because Barrios, if he catches you lacking, yeah, you're going to get hurt. Can Ryan Garcia get his defensive flaws in order now? He's got to. I'm sick of him taking punishment when I know you could have stopped it. I'm sick of him getting caught with stuff and not having the notion to adapt like he did against I believe it was Luke Campbell. And stifle that with either A, aggression, or B, going through and attempting to make any adjustment. Yes, he was injured. Perfectly fine against Rolly Romero. You today cannot have one, not anything go wrong. And today, number one, you can't have anything go wrong with it being used as a reason. Because people are going to now view it as an excuse, unless it's something that's like serious. Injuries will even fall in that line for a lot of people. Because then they're going to say the same thing. Just like with Floyd Schofield, something always happens. It can be detrimental. And two, they won't care because you lost against Mario Barrios. That's going to be the only thing that people care about. You lost against Mario Barrios. That's the only thing that we care about. You lost against a brother for the second time in a row that you should have beaten. With all of that pomp and circumstance that you did with the WBC, with all the bringing people out and ring girls and whatnot, and this, that, and the third, with all of that being done, you went through and did what? Nothing. Yet again. Against a guy that you should have beaten. So it can be, like I said, a dangerous slippery slope. A very, very dangerous slippery slope that if you ain't careful, you're going to be put in a bad way. Let me see, Usyk is the champ for life. He might be. Like I said, at this point in time, the only person that we can see that's got a clean shot at beating him in the future, as of right now, is Moses Itauma. The second best chance is somebody like a Tyson Fury coming back. That's it. At this point in time, Usyk said he can last. He can go until he's 40. Was it what 41? He's got 5 fights less. He's got 5 fights left in him. So be it. So be it. But my gosh, in those 5 fights, it's looking like he might be non-stoppable. And the dog. Let me see. Legendary Super Saiyan. Yo, what's going on? Jackson, what's going on with you? Thank you for tuning in to the show with us all today. We appreciate your time, your effort. Please keep on liking the stream. Please keep on liking the stream and keep on sharing the show with everybody that you know. We love the conversation. We love the discourse. The whole show is a championship rounds. That's right. We want to hear from you on anything involving boxing, the NBA, the NFL, and everything sports and entertainment that I can discuss, with those being the main 3 demographics of content and sports I can really hone in on and focus with. So whatever you want to discuss in anything in those realms, hey, I can be about it, or movie, sports, television, video games, all that stuff. We can talk about it right here. And please, if you can, support the channel. Cash App and PayPal, links down below in the description. Also, super chats and super gifts, if you can support, would mean the world to me, and helps to go through and pay some bills, as well as to invest back into the show to make it bigger, better, and stronger, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. We appreciate it oh so much. Yes, indeed. But even still, we still want to see your comments on the day. And again, Legendary Super Saiyan, salute to you, and we appreciate you coming in on the show. We're so glad you're back, and we want to keep on seeing everybody that's coming through. The champ, 1931, is my favorite boxing movie. I think my favorite boxing movie is the one with Clubber Lang. Was it Rocky 3? It's either, I think it's Rocky 3. No, not Rocky 3. Rocky 1 was Apollo Creed draw, or Apollo Creed lost. Rocky 2 beats Apollo Creed. Rocky 3 was Clubber Lang. Rocky 4, Drago. Rocky 5 was Tommy Morrison. I think that's the right thing. But I think my favorite one is probably Rocky 3. Because I love Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang was the closest thing was the closest movie adaptation that I got as to what it felt like to watch Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier is my favorite fighter. I loved it. I think that's my favorite. That's my favorite boxing movie. The second, I think, would be The Hurricane, actually. And the third is Ip Man 3 or IP Man 3. Can I tell you what, Mike Tyson versus Ip Man for those 3 minutes, boy, man, I was geeking out. I'm gonna get it. It's not a boxing movie, but personal preference. I loved it absolutely. Let me see. Al Booker, thank you for tuning in. So happy that you're here with us on today. Thank you for showing up on the show. And everybody else who tuned in as well, please keep on liking the stream. We appreciate you all so much. I sort of like Usyk has nothing to lose. Usyk, he's not losing to Moses. Not right now. Absolutely not right now. But give it 2 years. He's going to be a real threat. Give it 2 years. He's going to be a real threat. Shoot, give everybody into this year. He could be in position to get a championship opportunity straight up to start 2026 or at the end of December this year. I said that last year. I don't care if he's ready or not. The way he's moving, buddy, he's going to get that shot sooner rather than later. The way that he's moving, he's going to get that shot, whether he's ready or not. And if he is ready, by the time that comes, oh boy, oh my. Talk about an incredible matchup. I tell you, I can't wait to see it. Let me see. Usyk has a light I've never seen before. He's not losing. He may not. If he retires undefeated, no issue there. No issue whatsoever. But there are people coming up that can be dangerous. There's some people coming up. Ajay Caballero's another one. That's a dangerous fighter. I think Usyk better, but it don't mean that there ain't no threats that can potentially challenge the throne, which I'm excited for. And I can't wait to see everything that you all have to say on today still. Let me see. Rocky 3 was Clubber Lang. What was it? Thunderlips and Clubber Lang. More so Clubber Lang. I think Clubber Lang was the reason why I actually wanted to see that movie, because I saw the trailer and I love Mr. T back in the day, and I saw them both in it. I was like, oh my gosh, let me see it. So yeah, that's my favorite. Rocky 4 was Drago. Rocky 5 was Tommy Gunn, aka Tommy Morrison. Yep, absolutely, you are right. Ip Man, when he fought them 10 black boy, when he was in that room fighting for his dead friend's bloody bag of rice, and he went through and took everybody. I think it was more than 10. He took every black belt out systematically. I'm talking about breaking people's legs, making them do this, dislocating hips, going through and like quick as lightning taking out the. It was insane. I might just watch that movie again. I'm gonna watch that movie again. That's one of my favorite all time. That's one of the 5 to 10 best movies I've ever seen. I saw that in a mall one time, and I never knew the name of it. I finally got to see it on TV because it came on, and it was glorious. I watched it about 5 times straight when I was younger, and I was like preteen. And then I went through and I just kept on watching the entirety of the series. I love it. It's incredible. Donnie Yen outdid himself in that film. That entire franchise outdid himself absolutely. It was insane. But let me see. Moses is very fast and hits like a tank. I agree. Yep, absolutely. It's gonna, boy, I'm telling you, Moses the Talma is a monster among monsters that actually has more than just hype behind him as a talent. He has skill, advanced skill that nobody else around his own age has at this division, who's ranked in the top 20, the top 25. He is ahead of many of other boxers in a technical level, as well as on a destructive level. He's got instincts that you shouldn't have at that point in time, at that age, this young. You shouldn't. And he can only get better. He's 22. By the time this cat's 26, who knows what monster this man could be? Who knows? Who knows? He can be insane. He can be insane. He said Rocky be fighting them setups. Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie. Even his coach said, yeah, you were. Even his coach said, yo, this guy's a freaking animal. This guy's an animal. He'll take you out. He will destroy you. Cause you've been fighting fodder. Give me fights. You've been set up. You're gone soft. This guy's cut from a different cloth, man. They were talking about this brother like he was Mike Tyson. They were talking about Clubber Lang like this man was thinking. They were talking about Clubber Lang like he was Sonny Liston. I'm dead serious. This cat will kill you. He killed me. He talking as though I'm Rocky's coach. He was like, this guy will kill you. He killed me. He put me in the grave. And I'm not even fighting. But what do you think he's going to do to you? You're not ready for this, man. Do what Rocky Marciano did. Drop the belt. Drop the belt while you're on top. Don't go after these folks. You will lose. You can't hurt them. You can't hit them. You can't hit him. You can't hurt him. He will beat you while you're unconscious. He will knock you out and wake you up like George Foreman did to Shannon the Cannon Briggs. That's how hard he hits. You don't want that smoke. You don't want that smoke. I mean, my gosh, man. This cat was done and shown to be as a bigger destructive threat than sticking Apollo Creed. That's what got me. They were talking about Clubber Lang in a way they weren't even talking about Apollo Creed. When Apollo Creed was when he fought Rocky, at that point in time, you could argue he was the best boxer in the world in that universe. Like straight up. Nobody was beating him. And they were talking about Clubber Lang as if, yo, this guy, he ain't Creed, but he will kill you and like it. I would love to see. Okay, side note, real quick. So y'all got a bunch of questions. I know. I still got your comments. I'm still gonna read them. Just quick side note, please. Allow for me this. Allow for me this one quick detour. If I could ever make a dream matchup of any medium as a fight I would want to see, I would want to see Clubber Lang versus Apollo Creed for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's essentially Frazier versus Ali 2.0, but with way less defense and straight up, you getting touched. Like, no, in the Rocky universe, everybody's getting, blood's everywhere. Ref ain't stopping the fight for nothing. There is no stopping the fight. There's no standing 10 count, and there's no TKO. It's either KO or decision, nothing else. The way they be scoring on those scorecards. I mean, my gosh. But I would have loved to see a prime Apollo Creed versus Clubber Lang when he fought the version that fought Rocky the first time. Oh gosh. The constant moving force versus the immovable object. That would be my dream fight. I would the amount of money I would pay to watch that fight if I could see it. Because again, it's just a bloodier version of Frazier versus Ali. That's literally what that would be. And it would be incredible. Oh, it would be phenomenal. I would love it. My gosh, I would love it. Absolutely. Well, let me see. The Rocky movie versus Drago, loved it. It tells you about stories, how you have a major advantage against someone that can beat you. And he got revenge on Drago. Yes, he did. It was a really, really good movie. In fact, I like the way that they brought Drago's, I think it was his son, into the Creed universe as like a, hey, we doing it, kind of continuing that sort of little blood rivalry. Oh, that would be great. That was phenomenal. Let me see. Dislocating hips. That was the only thing that was that was dislocating hips. That was the only thing remotely crazier than Tony Jasper breaking in the protector. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, man. He made him do a whole split. It was, oh my gosh, I loved him. I loved that. I loved that movie. It's such a great thing. Let me see, Legendary Super Saiyan. I feel like Moses and Wardley are the two fighters Usyk definitely doesn't want to be getting hit by upside the head by. No, he doesn't. Now, the top three people that Usyk doesn't want to get caught by would be Moses, Wardley, and we're going to want to go from a power perspective, Big Bang Jang. And we're talking about raw power. If we're talking about raw power at this current stage in the heavyweight landscape, those are the three biggest punches we got right now in the world of boxing. I would put Wilder there. But Wilder has not shown that same destructive, dominating level of power. He just hasn't at this point in time. So because of that, over the course of the last couple of years. So I can't say it's as feared. The threat's still there. And you still don't want to get touched, but it's not the same. I can't gauge it as the same threshold with the recent performances that he's had. Even with this knockout against Herndon, it still wasn't done in a way that it was like, okay, yeah, the power, it's there, but it's like Wilder's power makes you submit. And it took a lot longer, not just against Herndon to do it, but it was done in the manner that it was like, man, okay, he finally got one. Not, oh my gosh, yeah, there's still something left in there. Two different reactions because of two different performances. One of which actually occurred, that was the latter. So he still doesn't want to get touched by him, but those three at that level of power, I don't think he wants to get touched by him. He can beat Wardley. He can just stay away from Wardley after winning the first 6 rounds. Just don't give him the chance to throw and land on it. By just going and moving away. Because he can move away. Right now, the best mover in the heavyweight division right now. Best boxer as a whole. Defensively and offensively. So it's like, just don't do the dumb stuff that we've seen. Not even dumb stuff. Just don't put yourself at risk against Wardley. You can outbox him and beat him. It's Moses that's the multidimensional, that has the ability to KO you in the same way Wardley does, and at the same breath can box with you at any level. Or at least is elevating his game to the point that when he does reach his prime, he will be able to box with you at any level. Can't do it right now, but he will be able to. Multidimensional, which is what I love about him, absolutely. Facts, couple language, your joke, no, he was not. The boxer killed Ip Man's rival turned homie, and the Ip Man too. Yeah. I remember that dude. I remember old boy, British, the UK guy who came through. He was cheating like I don't know what, I tell you. At least Tyson was fighting pure. That British cat that killed old buddy in the ring boxing, that was like he was cheating, like legit. Fighting dirty. Insane. Insanity. And then let him get away with it. Let me say, Apollo would have killed Drago if it wasn't for the steroids. He would have. He would. Now, I will say, Rocky should have thrown in the towel. As a friend, you should have thrown in the towel. You say don't stop the fight, brother. Do you know what organization we're fighting under in our world? You've seen what I've done to people and the ref never stopped the fight. Buddy, the doctor never even attempted to come through when you fought me. And we couldn't leave the ring. Buddy, this cat is about to put you asunder, and the ref sees that you can't stand up, and he's not stopping you. I'm stopping this fight. I'm stopping this fight. He should have done it. He absolutely should have done it. I kind of want to see Spence versus Thomas Hurt. No, hold on. No, hey, look. Hey, look. Hey, Edgar.
We got some problems here.
I'm going to tell you this right now. You don't want to see that fight. Edgar, this is all respect to Errol Spence Jr. You don't want to see that fight. I promise you. This is not disrespect to Spence at all. He's one of the best welterweights that we've had in our generation, absolutely. But there are certain people he does not. There's certain dream matchups they don't need to be made. That one, that particular, my gosh, you talking about the buddy that went up to light heavyweight and was still knocking people out? We're talking about a cat who knocked out Duran in 2 rounds. We're talking about a buddy that wobbled Marvin Hagler in their 3-round war that was one of the greatest fights in history. We're talking about somebody that should have beaten Sugar Ray Leonard in their second matchup. We're talking about somebody who has transitioned from welterweight to light heavyweight in the midst of his career while in his prime, moving up and down with the greatest reach. You don't want those problems. 6'1", 73, 75-inch reach. One of the greatest jabs we've ever seen. One of the 10 greatest right hands this sport has ever witnessed. With speed that rivals any era. No, you don't want that. You thought Crawford was bad. You don't want that smoke. Yeah, I think you don't want that. Let me see. The in-ring talk with Apollo and Clubber would be legendary if we got to see. Oh gosh, I'd pay just to be in the building. Every press conference had to be separate. They'd be jumping tables every single way. It'd be insane. Wilder is no joke even for Fury. He wasn't. But even that Wilder was more willing to pull the trigger than the Wilder that we see now. That's the problem. If Deontay fought like the versions that he was against Tyson Fury, specifically that first version and that third, or the first fight and third fight, yeah, he'd be a real threat. But because he doesn't have that in him right now, that willingness to exchange and throw with the utmost confidence something's going to land, he doesn't need to fight Usyk, and he can't punch him. He can't knock him out. With that as his mindset, or rather with that no longer as his mindset, he gets back to that though. Okay, we have a conversation. He can do it. Let me see. I'm still team Bomb Squad, but Wilder is in the spin cycle. Y'all got to understand, I want Wilder to win. I want him to get back into a great level. It's just the fact that he's fighting an uphill battle that he keeps on getting stuck in the rocks, trying to find himself again. And again, Malik Scott killed this man's boxing instincts. His fighting, not boxing, fighting instincts. Malik Scott killed this man's ability to be a deranged weapon of mass destruction by trying to instill fundamentals in a vein that wasn't applicable to Wilder's fighting style. Wilder is thinking too much now about what he needs to do rather than just fighting and then letting muscle memory do the right stuff that you train, but not getting away from what you are and what you need to be. That's why Malik Scott is not a good trainer. Straight up. I don't care if he's on the Ring magazine. I don't care if he's on Inside the Ring. He is not a good trainer. Because you messed up the core of one of the most destructive heavyweights in history. You did that. Because of your ideology as a coach. You killed it. And because of that, he's never the same. He's never been the same. It really is a shame. Really is a shame. But I want him to win, absolutely. I do want him to win. That said, I was down for the Usyk Wilder fight. Let Usyk fight all the greats of his generation. Yeah, Like I said, I got the legacy and I got the. I didn't want it, but I understood the reason. I seen Wilder drop Fury in a dream. Dudes know, well, it wasn't a dream. He did drop him down. He did drop him. Couldn't keep him down, but he did drop him. What was it? Did he drop him 4 times? He dropped him 4 times and Wilder still got up, and Fury still got up. That's reckless abandon by Fury. We'll never question the chin of Fury. I don't care if he got knocked by Usyk. He's gotten up every time he went down, and he got up from the most powerful puncher in this current age of boxing, period. Ridiculous. Testament to him. Zhang is just too slow for Usyk, in my opinion. A few notches faster than Joe Joyce, I feel. You are absolutely right, Jackson. Super Saiyan, or rather legendary Super Saiyan, you right. Imagine if Big Bang Zhang not even had speed, just had the gas tank of Chisora. That's he would have already been a champion. If Big Bang Zhang had the gas tank of a Derek Chisora, he would have been a champion by now. By now. That's the only thing that held him back. Against Hergovich, he got tired. Against Joseph Parker, he got tired. Against Ajay Caballero, he got tired. He got work to the body, but it helped you mess up his fatigue even faster. But if he had stamina, he would have already been a champion. We would be talking about Big Bang Zhang as one of the 5 best heavyweights in the world on a consistent basis. Up into his 40s. We would have. He is indeed, as a skillful fighter, he's a dog, man. Zhang is a dog. I love the way that he fights. He is so good at catching and parrying punches. It's just the fact that he gets winded so quick. That's the biggest gripe against him. That's the biggest gripe against him. Beyond just the speed. I hate it. I despise it, man. If he had stamina, he would be able to finish the job and knock out Joseph Parker. He would have. But he couldn't go for the kill like he wants to because he was trying to conserve energy. Why? Because he gets tired after round 5. And I believe he knocked him out in round 4. Or he knocked him down in round 4. Same thing with Ajay. Before round 4, he can put anybody to sleep. Afterwards, though, now it's anything goes. Imagine if he could last 8, 9 rounds consistently and then start getting tired until rounds 10. We'll be talking about a whole different career. A whole different career. That's the one thing I hate about it. Let me see. Seen him straight destroy Fury in a dream one time. I don't see it. As of right now, he ain't destroy him. You fought him good, but he ain't destroy him. Let me see. Would be great if he KOs War Chisora. If he is able to KO Chisora. You know what? Real quick. Derek Chisora. This fight with Derek Chisora is going to be. We talk about make or break fights with fighters in the like. This is one of those fights, but I say this for a different reason. Derek Chisora is, because of his mentality of war, Derek Chisora is going to force Wilder to face a wall that if he really wants to continue boxing, he's going to have to answer against him. Will you go to war or will you continue to be stagnant? Will you forego what hasn't worked to beat me? Or will you keep trying to hammer in a nail that won't fit with your style? If you do what you've been doing these last 4 fights against me, Derek Chisora will knock out Deontay Wilder. Not even a question. It's not even a question. Wilder will get beat at his own game by his own game plan against Derek Chisora. If we see Wilder not go and say, you know what? Bump all this technical stuff. We gonna brawl. And we gonna swarm. And we gonna be reckless. Because that's how Chisora is gonna come at him. Chisora has maintained that same fixture of reckless abandon that has allowed him to say, if I go down, I go down. But doggone it, I'm not going to compromise what I am. I'm a killer because I don't care if I get caught. I'm not technical. I'm a warrior. If Wilder doesn't get back to that against Chisora, he's going to get knocked out. And he's going to have to face the music. Am I going to do what I know how to do best now? Or am I going to still try to do what I've been taught to attempt to add to my game by Malik Scott, which is a terrible pick for a coach in a stylist of nature. If he makes that, not even if, he's going to be forced to make that change. If he doesn't make that change, I've said it before and I'll say it again, his career is done. Forget Usyk, forget Fury, forget everybody. His career is finished. He should retire the second that fight ends. But if he looks at a mirror image of himself in Derek Chisora and said, you know what? That's the real me. He can win this fight. Are you going to accept who you really are? Yes or no? That's the question. Are you going to accept who you really are? Because your own reckless style will be the thing to beat you if you fight against Derek Chisora. Because Derek Chisora will show you what it was like to fight against you. Does that make sense? Derek Chisora will show you what you used to be in the way that he fights. He will bring back those vestiges of the old Wilder by fighting Wilder in the same style that Wilder fought everybder else. And Wilder's going to have to come to grips with the fact that, hey man, this is who I really am. Am I going to accept this and fight like I know I need to fight like I have always fought? Or am I going to still try to be rigid and use stuff that hasn't worked for me, though it's supposed to be something that teaches me? And I promise you, if he goes the latter instead of the former and says, I'm still going to be rigid, he's going to get knocked out. If he doesn't, he can beat Derek Chisora. But it's going to take that type of gusto. Because if he ain't got it now, and if he doesn't have it against Chisora, he's never going to have it again. I'm a nix all talk to whoever get back to the old Wilder. It's done. It's dead. It is dead. Because if you can't do it against Chisora, you can't do it against anybody. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. It's plain and simple, man. Because I want him to succeed, but he's got to accept his own identity. Come to grips with the fact that you are a destructive force that has no technique. That's why you're so hard to beat. You're one of the most athletically gifted boxers in the world with one of the quickest first steps that this entire division has to this day. The combination of being 6'6" with length and reach at your caliber gives you leverage, power, and natural raw speed that you can't teach anybody else in this division. And you've gotten away from that by becoming flat-footed, by becoming less adept at applying your threat of power. And now you're getting ready to fall by the wayside for permanently because you don't want to forget Malik Scott and do what you need to do to be a fighter that you need to be. You don't do that, it's gonna be done. It's gonna be done. Let me see. Hearns would annihilate Spence. Yes, he would, absolutely. It would be incredibly bad. It would be bad. It would be so bad. Apollo jumping tables soon as Lang says something his mama. Or yeah, no, he would. He absolutely would. And yeah, no, pugilistic Wilder is not the Wilder that we need to see. Absolutely not. Let me see. I think Malik is good. It just didn't work with Wilder. Agree, he messed up Wilder. I haven't seen most of the people that Malik Scott trains. I haven't seen them reach their full potential for the weapons they have been given. It's not just Wilder. It's Wilder and others that we have that I see that just, it doesn't, something about what he is teaching. Even look at what he says on inside the ring. Look at the way that he views the sport. Look at the way that he goes against people like Inoue. Talks about what's great and what's not great. Stylistically, how he goes and approaches a fight. Listen to him. Not saying that you don't. And I'm not saying this in a condescending manner. Listen to Malik Scott in the way that he talks about boxing. Whenever I hear it, it's not because I'm trying to be biased, not because I'm trying to have hate. There is a level of, I don't want to say missing link, but there's a connection that seems to be lost whenever I see him train others and whenever I see him work with others. And it stems from the way that he views this sport that has negative connotations in some regards. That just it never set right with me. Again, personally with me. That doesn't mean I'm saying he doesn't know the game. I don't like his application when he's going and training other people. He has the knowledge. It's the fact of the application of said knowledge. I don't think it works for as many people as he trains with. And that isn't, for me, that's a problem. Now, Albuga, I see you saying right now, you think he's got a brilliant boxing mind. I'm not saying he is dumb. I'm saying that knowledge, I don't see it as being used in the proper way to maximize other fighters. Wilder just one example. It's others as well. And I'm like, hey man, look, that's not, it's, I get the premise, but you're stripping the natural talent in some degree of what this cat is. And if we see stopgaps and stifling and stagnation in their ability, we see it because under Malik Scott, it seems like something is, it's like a tether. It's like if he just cut that one tether and still allowed the natural version, or rather the natural X factor of that said fire to go and flourish and shine even more with what he's trying to teach, could be even better. But again, personally, like I said, I can be absolutely wrong. I have no issue with that. Personal opinion. This is why we have this discourse. Because y'all may feel completely different. And we want to hear why. And I want to hear why. I want to get new perspectives. I want to learn. So I can look at Malik Scott and whoever else in a vein that can, if I'm wrong, it can change my perspective. Because I don't want him to be viewed in my eyes as a bad coach. I don't. Trust me, I don't. Because there ain't many great coaches out here. But from my perspective, that's what I've seen. However, if I'm wrong, look, I would love to hear the arguments. I would love to hear the thoughts. I would love to hear the insight as to why you feel he does know stuff. He is incredible at what he does. I would love to hear it. I want to see the error in my logic so I can be better at being critical as well as being able to praise what deserves to be praised. At least for me. I would love to hear that. So I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it all. Absolutely. I'm still trying to go through and make sure I can read everybody's chats because we're going to go a little bit quicker. Deontay also went to South America to see a shaman. That has some effect for sure. It might have absolutely. Zhang, which is Zor's war engine. That's a scary thought. Yes, it is. Big Bang Zhang has the power and the skill, zero cardio, and the shame because it's years long issue with him. That's the problem. He never got over it. He never got over it. That's the one thing I cannot stand. If he had, man, he could have been such a great fighter. He could have been such a great fighter. Let me see. Zhang versus Hergovich fight was so frustrating because legit Zhang's stamina cost him. I still think he won that fight. Crazy enough, he actually fought through the stamina when when it looked like he was going to falter. And I thought he won that fight. I thought he should have won that fight. But if he had stamina, he would have put Hergovich in the dirt. He would have put him in the dirt. He would have put him in the dirt. He absolutely would have put him in the dirt. Let me see. I think Malik Tyler's a brilliant boxing mind. He was letting Wilder do ballerina spins and mid-work head movement drills leading up to Zhang fight. Yeah, no, we all saw that clip. We all saw the head movement drill. And it wasn't even, see, now, granted, I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. But it's not supposed to be that the essentially the punching arm that you're using to jab at the fighter. It's supposed to be that it goes by you most of the time. And you're supposed to not just slip and get away from distance. It's supposed to be that you're getting out the way as the punch is going by your head. Left, right, up, stay right, left. You've gotten backed up now. Okay, feint back. And then duck forward, get away from it. And then keep on reading and reacting, slipping, rolling forward, rolling under. Getting both distance and timing down so you understand how to evade the shot coming, not just be on the edge of it. Depth perception is great. That's why Shakur Stevens is the master at it. But at the same time, Tank said it best, you don't see him using a whole bunch of head movement. Yes. Because he's mastered the distance. So that his whole game plan, I don't need to slip left or right or duck in on either side. Because I've trained to make sure that this is the closest you can get to me. Period. But even still, I'm getting off that center line. Not moving like a rooster. And it was bad. And yeah, he spun it right into James Fist. He spun it. And crazy enough, when that knockout landed, I was trying to figure out where he caught him. And he caught him right with the edge of his knuckle. That spun him. I still don't know he must have knocked the sense out of Wilder. Because I've never seen somebody do a full 360 trying to find out where they were. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. And mind you, this is a Wilder who's gotten up from some serious stuff. This is a Wilder who's gotten up for some serious stuff. And I'm telling you right now, they went through and he got knocked senseless and knocked out. That showed you how dangerous Zhang is. And that showed you, man, again, more of a testament to he could have been oh so great, man. He could have been oh so great. Let me see. See, somebody said Wilder did spin it. He did. Just about. He went full. He literally did a full 360 all the way around from that initial hook, looking for where he was, and then got knocked down. I hope he thought that somebody had stepped on his foot. So he was looking for the ref saying, hey man, this cat's messing up. But if he just got knocked straight up senseless, that's insane, man. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That's still wild. And that is what Wilder is trying to fight against. He has the potential punch resistance might be gone. The power that he's vaunted for may be very much drastically diminished. And in all actuality, everything that made Wilder Wilder, we're scared has taken such a step back that it might not be able to be recoverable in a vein that, hey, we can still work like we need to work and do what we need to do. And so, it's a shame. Oh, real quick, one more thing with Zuffa. That I forgot to say. Let me see. He turned around like a spinning tato. He did. Yeah, he did. Interesting. But real quick, we're kind of bouncing around, and we're also at 2 hours, 17 minutes. We got a little bit more show to go. It's still the championship rounds. Be clear, I want to still hear your thoughts and opinions, and keep on supporting the show. Keep on liking, keep on sharing, all that stuff. Absolutely. Cash App, PayPal, links down below. Super chats and gifts, whatever the world. If you can give it, would mean the world to me. Absolutely. But One more thing with Zuffa. I forgot this point because this was a good clip I wanted to show you. And it is important. When looking at Zuffa, Dana White trying to balance UFC and Zuffa, I'm a little bit concerned. And it's because of something that Dana White said, not Dana White, something that Eddie Hearn brought up as a potential pitfall of this duality of corporation that Dana White's trying to do that can lose the trust of the fighters in the UFC. Let me say, I think TL beat Shakur. I'm not going to lie. We're going to touch on that right after this. Give me 1 second to play this clip, and then we're going to touch exactly on Shakur versus TL. But let me play this clip right now of Dana White and his response to what we see with
Justin at T-Mobile.
Hold on. With his, trying to make sure y'all can see, okay, yeah, with his opinions on Dana and Zuffa potentially not working out.
Paramount playing. I think one of the really interesting things when I look at the business is going to be how the UFC talent roster reacts to the amount of money that these guys are paying fighters. But you've got a situation where you've got Paddy the Baddy against Justin Gaethje, Justin, at T-Mobile on Saturday. Paramount playing huge license fees. Yet Paddy and Justin are making considerably less than a fighter that is nowhere near the draw or bringing nowhere near the commercial revenue that they are. I think there'll be a revolt from the UFC fighters, to be honest, because I think they'll be thinking, why are we making so much less than the boxers when the show and the business and the revenue is so much higher? So, yeah, it'd be interesting.
And this is something that has been kind of on my mind, but I haven't been able to bring it up like I want to. And also, well, hold on, let me make sure there ain't nothing else playing real quick, and we don't want no other videos coming through messing up messing up the audio. But and I'm about to jump into Shakur and Tia. We gonna discuss that absolutely. But this was one thing I did want to say about this whole Dana White situation. What's play right here on my lip? Oh well. Regardless of which, Dana White with Zuffa and the UFC. Eddie Hearn is right in this regard. How many times have we seen Conor McGregor making $9 million, has been one of the biggest and most impactful UFC fighters, yet only making $9 million. And the second goes into the boxing, he makes upwards of 50. Alex Pereira, insane as a spectacle draw. Currently, what can be seen as not just one of the most destructive forces in the world of boxing, but at the same breath, he is also one of the marquee fixtures. Ain't making nearly as much as the starting deserves. And he's looking to fight at heavyweight now and go for a championship in his third weight class? Second or third weight class? Nate Diaz had to leave boxing to make more money. Nate Diaz had to leave boxing to make more money going up against Jake, not boxing. Nate Diaz had to leave the UFC to fight Jake Paul to make more money than he made in his entire 15-plus year MMA career. Over 30 fights, or nearly just about 30 fights. One of the most recognizable faces in the UFC, in mixed martial arts history, straight up. Didn't make a... He can retire after the Jake Paul fight, but he couldn't retire in the same breath after UFC. Francis Ngannou left because they were struggling to give insurance to UFC fighters as part of the deal to re-sign as heavyweight champion while he was reigning in the heavyweight division of the UFC. Pension plans, medical care, guaranteed money, pay raises, all of that for fighters' investment. Dana White didn't budge. There was some report that the UFC one year made almost $800 million or something along those lines, between 500 and 800 million. a lot of money. And the fighters barely got 10% of all of that cash flow. Numbers may be a little bit skewed, but the balance is still insurmountable. And now Dana White, we have been saying he's jumping into boxing. We can make boxing great and do all that stuff and make it right and fix all the problems. He hasn't fixed his own stuff. And now they're directly linked with the UFC in the same regard. And UFC is promoting boxing. UFC is doing all this stuff. And Ocampo is about to make, Ocampo versus Welch is about to make more money than Paddy versus Justin Gaethje, than Max Holloway, than Dustin Poirier, than Volkanovski, than anybody for championship fights. This would be considered not, it isn't a bump fight. It's a decent fight between Ocampo and Welch, but it's still nowhere close to a championship level, and they ain't gonna make more money than, they're gonna make money that would be equivalent of you are one of the 3 biggest stars in the sport. If you're in UFC, making that type of bank. There's a discrepancy that people in the UFC, buddy, they gonna feel it. They gonna see it. It's going to expedite, hypothetically, the transition of UFC fighters saying, you know what, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I do need to go into boxing. Maybe I do need to go another route and not under Dana White. Maybe against somebody else. Or if I do go under Dana White, they're going to demand, you better pay me like you paying them. If not, I walk. PFL, they just lost Jake Paul. Because now he never lived up to his contract, so they got money to blow. I can go over there. I'll sign with any promotion right now, if need be, if this is what it takes, because apparently you ain't caring about me. What if we see Dana White take more care in the Zuffa Boxing League than the UFC, which is his own darling? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it's hypothetical. And they see that they're getting treated in a manner that, even though it might be low for boxing standards, from the standpoint of pay, which it is, which is going to be a big concern, it can be generational money in UFC standards. And they're saying, hey, man, you could do that for them, but you couldn't do that for me. And I've been more successful in my own sport that you were over than they are in their sport that you're now governing. It can get slippery really quick. It can get slippery really quick. So it's something to keep an eye out for. Yes, indeed. Let me see. He better pay the UFC fighters. He better. Like, he gonna have to. Because if they see that Ocampo is even making $900K, like for the UFC money, there's some champions that were making $750K as champion per fight. And that $750K was only because they were fighting somebody else that was a big name in the division. That's not good. When you're making upwards of 50 to almost 100 plus, or well, I think it's well over $100+ million a year with the Paramount deal that you also got signed, you're making more money than you're getting more money invested into the company than you've had in a minute. You also signed with ESPN, who had a rights deal to y'all. More bank. And still people were getting lowballed. Drastically, because you were cheap. This is the issue with Dana White. Boxers can get frustrated and UFC fighters can straight up walk. Because by your own standards, the low stuff that you do, if you do low stuff for boxing, would be high standards in the value of UFC, which is not great. That's not good, but that's what we're running into. His own bad practices can compound on themselves, and we can see the UFC all of a sudden say, hey, yeah, we can't have a revolt. We don't want this type of smoke. We don't want to stand for this when we're the ones that you're supposed to be caring about more than anything else. It can get dangerous really quickly, man. I'm telling you, I don't know. Zuffa already signed Jai and And the boxing establishment is still actively shooting itself in the foot. Mauricio Sulaiman, Oscar De La Hoya, etc. It's not about. Well, hold on. Let me read your second thing real quick. I can see Zuffa getting a foothold mostly because the boxing establishment is so greedy and or dysfunctional. It's not about whether Zuffa can get a foothold in boxing or not. It can happen. The issue is as a dual owner and direct contributor, not even contributor, direct the head man in charge for both Zuffa and the UFC as brands, matchmaking, and as straight up doing everything possible to make them grow. He is the guy. It's not just a face, he is the guy. You are going to bring your same bad practices into boxing. But the issue is, those same bad practices that didn't let UFC fighters get paid, even if you bring those into boxing, by proxy of the straight up the sport itself, we're going to see Dana White pay boxers more than he's ever been willing to pay UFC guys who are well more established than the boxers they can initially get in their regime, outside of, again, Jai Patai and a couple of others. It's not many. Because of that, UFC fighters can say, if you're willing to go and give that to them, though the boxing world may feel that you're lowballing them like you're lowballing us, you have the capacity to give us that same amount of money when we fight. You have the capacity. You have a bigger brand that you built by yourself that still is getting deals left, right, and center. You have everything to pay us the same wage that you're paying those UFC fighters or that you're paying those boxers under Zuffa. Yet you will still pay us less than them. That's where I have a problem with. Even if he gets a foothold, he can lose the trust of his main promotion and the people that he came into this business with when he built it up on his back. And now everybody says, oh, okay, if I'm Patty, if I'm Volkanovski, if I'm Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya, if I am any of these people, oh, so you can elevate the wages. You can pay us what we're worth, but you never did. Why should we want to stick with you? Because if you don't give us that same level of deserved income, for at least for the UFC level, that we feel we should walk. We don't trust you because you have now showed your hand. You, over Zuffa, can offer money. Even if it's low, it's more than what you gave us. And you could have done that same thing for us. You could even have elevated the prices all around for each of us in terms of the pay. For each of us to make the same amount if we're champion stars or whatever. And you did. Yeah, we're done. It can happen. He can lose the very stable that he came into this boxing world with, and it can be a shame. Just for the record, I want Dana White far away from boxing as possible. I get you. Because the idea is great. It's the man behind it that has some concern. It's the man behind it. Let me see. It's frustrating. The seats people pay for UFC, I believe someone said 5,000. That's crazy. It is. Mind you, for Canelo Alvarez, it was $16K for ringside seats. The cheapest seat was $2,000 for Canelo versus Crawford. I'm dead serious. Ringside seats was $16K. We were saying for the UFC, ringside seats were $5,000 or something along those lines. They're still making insane amounts of money. It's the fact that they aren't paying the UFC fighters that money or a bigger chunk of that pie And if you do it for boxing, you're going to have to do it for the UFC. And if you don't do it for the UFC, when people are going to say, hey, you're getting money from both Zuffa and UFC straight up and Paramount, people are going to start saying, y'all should leave because he doesn't care about you, the UFC fighter. And boxers are going to say, hey, this guy is underpaying us in boxing. You don't deserve to be lowballed. And on both ends of the spectrum, everybody's going to say this ain't worth our time. Don't let Jai Patai not get what he wants. Because if he folds, ain't nobody else going to trust him. If Ja folds, everybody else is going to say, yeah, Zuffa's dead. They'll see the writing on the wall. Okay, yeah, this guy, a guy that only wants business, a guy that's all about work, a guy that can be one of the biggest stars in the world, insanely talented, knockout artist, unified champion. He has gotten done over by Dana White. Yeah, we ain't messing with him. We done. And then blows up in smoke. It can happen. It can absolutely happen. Let me see. At least Oscar protects his fighters for better or for worse. Yeah, to some degree it's better than worse. I don't think Oscar takes that much money away. If he does, to be honest, he still takes a lot, and again denies opportunities. It's a lot more than it might not be as egregious, but it's still bad. It is still bad. Let me see. Yep. UFC ticket prices are insane. Yes, they are. I believe you guys are hipped. I thought I was wrong, but now I got confirmation. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Oscar. Honestly, he doesn't put his fighters in there with the best. He wants them setups a la Clubber Lang. He does. The problem with Oscar De La Hoya, he doesn't want stars fighting bigger stars within his own stable. And this suing by Virgil Ortiz is just a bigger conversation on the working relationship that Oscar has when it comes to making fights that his fighter wants, when oftentimes don't happen. And it's like, my goodness, my word. All Virgil Ortiz wanted was Boots Ennis, and now we see, oh, you're holding money from me by messing up or speaking for me in these negotiations. And it's a shame. It's frustrating. Everybody speaks out about him because it's a legitimate issue. It is. It truly is. And so, but again, at least we can say, okay, you're gonna make bank. He may be even overpriced against fighters, but at least he is sticking to his word. Hey, I'm going to ask for the most money I can get for you to get paid. We can at least say that. I'm going to try, at least monetarily, to make sure you always on top. We can at least say that. I'm going to do my best to at least ensure, even if it's an exorbitant offer, they know we want you to get your paper. We can at least say that. Even if you're not the biggest star. If you reach that zenith in his stable, guess what? He'll try to get what he can for you. Even if it's reckless, he'll try. That ain't Dana White. Dana White operates in the manner of, if you are not essentially the Muhammad Ali of our sport, if you are not the Canelo of our sport, and Anthony Joshua, a Tyson Fury, if you are not that, you are not worth the time. Or you're not worth that level of paper. If you're not Israel Adesanya in his heyday, if you're not Alex Pereira, if you're not Brock Lesnar, Chuck Liddell, those types of people, you ain't doing it. We ain't moving like we need to move with you. We ain't. Why? Because you ain't worth the time. You're not worth the time. Why invest in something that isn't already taking everybody's focus in a vein of, yeah, it's great. Because you gotta look at it this way. Dana White gives fight of the night bonuses. Dana White gives knockout of the night performance of the night bonuses. He gives if you do a crazy knockout, he's generous. He'll give you $50K. They're walking away still with $100,000. Now that sounds great, but in all actuality, the reason why he puts those incentives out there, you gotta look at what they're making up front. It ain't much. And everybody fights so hard because they need that $50K. You got UFC fighters doing other mundane jobs, and this is an understandable thing that everybody in boxing, you got to go and it takes time to get to a level where, okay, you can do this full time. You work at a grocery store. You work as a mechanic. We saw Padley was an electrician. Josh Padley, before he fought Shakur Stevenson. Now, because of the money that he made with Shakur Stevenson, he can go and box full time and not have to worry about having to do a secondary job, all because once he got to the level where, okay, I'm in the big leagues with a big name, I got the money to secure me. That don't happen with Dana White. Those $50K incentive bonuses are a necessary thing for most fighters, because without that, I'm going broke just about trying to go through and pay my trainer, my coach, my cutman, my equipment, food, self-care, doctor appointments, all that stuff. That's the problem. That $50K is a life-changing amount of money because it takes care of an abundance of things that after expenses, okay, I still have something. I got some security. Without that, most people fighting on the card, they ain't making a bunch of nothing compared to the boxing. Compared to the boxing. The lower cards on boxing events get paid more than some of the main events of UFC 300. Think about it. Carmel Moulton got 8 fights on his resume. There's an argument he's better off than the number 3 contender at welterweight right now. Abdullah Mason became 21 years old. This cat, before getting the title, you could argue was already better off than 50% of the UFC roster. By the time he had his 14th fight, his first headliner put him ahead of 50% of the UFC roster. That's how bad it is. It's not good. That's the problem. That's what Dana White brings to the table. That's what we're scared he's going to try to bring into boxing. But it's all going to implode, because if you do the same practices in another sport, but by proxy of that sport having old money, that sport is going to naturally have an elevated floor. They're going to say, so you can pay that for them, but you can't raise our floor to be their floor. That ain't going to fly. We got a problem. We got a problem. We got a problem. It's a shame. It really is a shame. Let me see, Bryce Foreman, what's going on with you? How you doing? Appreciate you tuning into the show. So happy you're here with us on today. Yes, indeed. Yeah, look, and I hope you agree, because it's like, it's bad. This is a robbery for these fighters. We speak against this stuff because we got to have some structure. And structure doesn't just mean the championships are going to be what they are. It doesn't just mean we are getting rid of interim titles. It doesn't just mean we got one belt per division. It doesn't just mean we got one champion and nothing, and everybody else is just a number 1 contender, number 2 contender. It doesn't just mean that. It doesn't just mean fixing judging. It doesn't just mean getting better referees. It doesn't just mean getting corruption out of the sport. It means on the back end, behind the scenes, the business gets better. And the only way the business gets better, if we got people that are actually going to be dedicated to doing good business. And as of right now, we got a new player in the game in Zuffa, who the structure may look like it's something to be excited about, but on the back end, it's a cancer to what this sport can be. And if that cancer does, in fact, show to be not benign, but active, it can eat both the UFC and Zuffa alive. And everybody hurts because the reputation of UFC, the reputation of Dana White, the reputation of Zuffa as a whole, the reputation of the sport and the business of combat sports is already as shady as it can be. That's what's on the line. And that's what people are looking over. There's a bigger ripple effect than just the immediate stuff. It's not just the Ali Act. It's everything. It's everything. It's everything. That's the problem. And if we don't get this problem right, we got one time to mess this up. We got one time to mess this up. Of a regime change, a structural change in this sport. And we ain't gonna see another attempt for another probably 50 years. We got one time with the one face that everybody says, okay, love him or hate him, something's gonna shake. We got one time for this to go bad. And whatever progress we want to try to make, up in smoke. Gone in a heartbeat. Gone, just like that.
We got some problems here.
I'm serious about this because it's a volatile situation. It really is. Because the man behind the machine. It's the man behind the scene. The man behind the Wizard of Oz. It's not just the Oz, the great and powerful. It's Richard Pryor moving the controls. For those of you who've seen The Wiz, it's not Oz that we got an issue with. It's Richard Pryor. Because he's a fraud in the movie. Phenomenal comedian. But he was a fraud in the movie. Nobody got what they wanted. Got so infamous he got used in the diss track for Kendrick Lamar. For real, legitimately. And listen to the first 5 seconds of Euphoria in reverse. I believe. Everything they say about me is true. I'm a fraud. Reference to Drake, which, again, he is. But even still, I digress. That's what's going on. It's the man behind the Wizard of Oz that we are afraid is going to ruin everything because he's done it before. It just worked because the brand got too big and the sport was something people gravitate towards, but they still complain. They still struggle. They still are now getting outpriced. And even then, that own structure is crumbling. ESPN wasn't getting what they felt they should have gotten from their deal with the UFC as time went on. The events got worse. The entertainment got diluted. People started walking away and saying, I don't need to fight more often. Israel Adesanya went out. Then you had Alex Pereira. I think he got injured at some point in time. You still had quality fights, but you didn't have as big an abundance of stars on a consistent basis. People got high on their horse because they were so far well and good above the rest of the world, like Conor McGregor. Stars got older. Max Holloway, Tony Ferguson, Anderson Silva, gone. As that new age came about, we got excited. Israel Adesanya looking like the next face of the UFC. Alex Pereira, the rivalry that everybody wanted to see. Francis Ngannou. John Jones still dominating. Everybody saying, wait a minute now, there's something shaking. Khabib Nurmagomedov looking like, moving like a menace. Makachev coming in right after him. Charles Oliveira finally getting the championship and being arguably the greatest submission artist in the history of the UFC. Everything still going strong. Ilya Tapora, you got excitement. And then the matchmaking got worse. The business of the structure wasn't sustaining in the same way. The prices got higher and it wasn't worth the time. The deals got shorter and shorter and people were getting out because they weren't getting the same value. The bundles didn't make sense for people to buy anymore. The events became a bore that people started turning away from. The visions started getting more sparse and scarce from a rich pool of talent. And the greats weren't fighting nearly as much. And even the very matchmaking that you wanted to make abundant and, yeah, we're going to do it right, it wasn't panning out as, okay, yeah, this is what we want. Because that best of the best against the best of the best moniker didn't stick every time. More often than not, as we got into the last couple of years. Now with the whole situation, you're trying to fight at the White House lawn, you're trying to do all this other different stuff, you're juggling too many, you are juggling too many responsibilities. And you are getting ready to fold. Because you're about to collapse. It's about to happen. It's going to be bad. Dana White doesn't see blood. He doesn't make money. He hates boring fights. He does. He does hate boring fights. He absolutely does. No problem with that. I want to see an exciting fight. Let me see. Not a fan of those KO and Friday Night Bonuses. Feels like some half stuff. I love it. I just don't like the fact that it is a necessary additive because of the lack of money that UFC fighters can make. It should be a further incentive, but it shouldn't be that if you don't get it, guess what? You probably going to go home breaking even. It shouldn't be that. Doesn't feel polished, professional event, kind of lowbrow stuff. And I like it. I'm completely okay with it. Because we do want to, if you do entertain the fans, I'm fine with giving you extra. That's not my concern. It is simply that it is a necessity because of the lack of revenue on the front end for fighters in the UFC. Instead of it being, hey, you're already getting paid and you can make more if you put on a great performance. Not an additive. That's the thing I don't like. Yeah, it's time to get, that's personal conversations. And it's like, if you got some beef with Zuffa and Dana White, a lot of people do. I do. Because it's deserved. They're usually fighting for the next contract. Yep, absolutely. Brave. Also, Bravey, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in to the show. So happy to hear what is on day. Yeah, they are. A lot of times. And it's a shame. Because we want to see it be good, but it's the man. It's the man. Too many fans are worried about other men's pockets. Nobody's forcing them to sign with Zuffa. It's just an avenue. And Timmy T, I get exactly what you're saying. But look at it from a bigger picture. Look at it from a bigger picture. Look at this situation from a different vein. We're not trying to watch people's pockets from the standpoint of, like we do, how much is Floyd making? Look at all the stuff Tank is buying. Look at all the stuff that we see Canelo with his fancy clothes and shirts and all that stuff. Who's the A side, B side? We're not pocket watching in that vein. This type of watch is a pocket watch to make sure you're not getting done over for the performances and for the career that you're trying to make. Talk about it with teachers all the time. Teachers deserve way more money than they're getting paid for. They are getting done over by the schooling system, the former Department of Education, which again now is completely dissolved, and the U.S. government as a whole because of the fact they're not paying them a livable wage worthy of the amount of responsibility and risk that they are putting these people, men and women, in responsibility of. They deserve more. We're not asking who's making more money out of the teachers. We're saying on the whole, all of you should be getting a legitimately, aggressively higher wage for what you're doing as a baseline. Because the whole of the ecosystem of this job is not getting compensated properly. It's not being seen monetarily worth the risk, especially for how much of an important job teaching is. And that shouldn't correlate. Or rather, that should correlate that you should get a bunch of money for it. In boxing, your life is on the line. You can die at any moment with one punch gone wrong. 2024, I believe we had 3 deaths. We had 3 deaths in 2024 from boxing alone. Strictly just ones that we were able to cover. Hundreds of people die in this sport every day. Hundreds more, thousands more. Irreparably damaged because of what's incurred. It only takes one shot. We know this. We got somebody right now, Suburban Tias, who is sadly killed. I believe his name was Maxime Dadashev, in the ring. And he's still fighting to this day. We got people like that walking around in this sport, and you got to fight against that. We're talking about people who you may not know where you are because of the accumulated damage of what you incurred in this career trajectory. There deserves to be compensation worth all of that risk on a baseline level. This isn't us pocket watching. We want to make sure people are able to say, after boxing, I did the work. I can now rest. You can't do that under Dana White. You can't. That's the problem. We're not trying to say who's making more money. We're not trying to say who's comparatively a bigger draw. That's pocket watching. We're saying, hey, you own this company. You got money to give. Well and good to every employee that you assign. And you can give everybody a 50% raise and have no issue. Yet you are stingy to a fault. And you're making more revenue than you've ever made in your career. Owning this same thing. Owning this same company. And now you're starting a second company adjacent to the very sport that you've been trying to take over. And now working in that sport in boxing. And they are privy to make more money than me. And you won't give me a raise. And I can die just as much as them. I can be irreparably changed just as much as them. My career can end in a heartbeat just as much as them. And I'm not getting any money. The fighter is not being taken care of. That's the one thing that I've learned from Teddy Atlas. The boxer is not being taken care of. And because the boxer is not being taken care of, we can't trust this sport. That's the problem. That's the problem. Even with management. And I see exactly what you're saying. You're a boxing fan first, not a manager or accountant. These boxers can do simple math. If they don't like the super, don't sign it. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. However, what we can't do is have the legitimate solution of, if you don't like it, don't sign it, as a washing over conversation that doesn't still get at the root of the problem. Regardless of whether you choose to sign with a promotion or not, with an organization or not, since you say we're boxing fans, as boxing fans, we want to make sure that anything that comes into this sport is on the up and up, so that because we ask for different options, because we ask for different solutions, because we ask for change in this sport, because we want people to come in and make this sport correct. Competition that can breed other people to start acting correctly in their own promotional appeals. Because we want that, we invest in the notion, yeah, come in and do this stuff right. But you got to have checks and balances and people calling people out to say, hey, if you do come into this sport, we don't want it to be that we are saying if you don't like it, don't sign it. Yes, but we also want it to be that this is a good deal that you can sign. We want every opportunity that a fighter is involved with to have quality investment potential. We don't want it to be that we're saying, hey, here's a red flag, and if you don't like it, don't go with it. We want it to be, you're coming into our sport. And you keep on saying you know the problems that you've seen. The responsibility, as much as it is for the fighter to make sure that they weigh their options and choose their stuff properly for who helps to promote them and who they sign with, it's also the responsibility of the people in charge of these promotions, of these organizations, to do right on their end. It's not just the simple notion that we got to that the fighters got to make the right decision. That's true. The promoter or organizer is just as much at fault if they in fact are not operating correctly. We shouldn't be saying that there's some problems with Zuffa. We shouldn't be saying that you should be wary of Zuffa. We should not be saying we are concerned with Dana White as a owner, as a liaison, and as a businessman coming into boxing. As much as we can say to boxers, if you don't like it, don't do nothing. It shouldn't be that we're saying that about anybody in this sport of boxing. Yes, sign with Oscar. You're going to get this, and this. He may not be able to provide this, but guess what? He's all right. You can sign with Al Heyman. He can do this, and this for you. He's got some problems, but it's not so egregious that you shouldn't be able to sign with him and be all right. Sign with Bob Arum, the oldest brother in the coop. Guess what? He got all this money, all this power, all this pull. He's got some problems, but on the whole, it's a good incentive for you to sign with him. Eddie Hearn, direct link to the zone, wants to give you the biggest fights possible, will fight for you. He's got some problems, but guess what? It's not so egregious that you shouldn't sign with him. That's a good move. And anybody else you want to use in that vein. That's how every promoter and organization should be talked about. And what we have right now is still incredibly shady with bad actors involved on the whole. But it's what we got. We haven't changed our tune that we got to clean up this sport. That means anybody coming into this sport, we got to vet and say, hey, we see these problems. If you want to be different, don't be what you were in the UFC. And don't follow the same structure of lies, deceit, and problematic notions that you said you had an issue when you worked with other promoters before you got into the UFC and you started the company. Everything that you hated about the UFC, everything you hated about boxing when you left to make the UFC, don't bring that here and fall into the same issue that we saw the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and the WBC all fall into, where they all said, I'm going to be different. I'm not going to make the same mistakes, and they made the same mistakes. Al Heyman made the same mistakes as Bob Arum. Bob Arum made the same mistakes as Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, same mistakes as Frank Warren. Frank Warren, same mistakes as Oscar De La Hoya. De La Hoya, same mistakes that we saw Don King. Don King, same mistakes that we saw anybody else make. The cycle kept on continuing, and everybody, for the most part, got roped into the same boat. You can't trust nobody as far as you can throw them to some capacity. You got some good actors. There's people that gotten better. Eddie Hearn, one of the better ones, but still, it can be even more cleaned up. Dana White's coming from a regime that started good and turned bad real quick. And you putting yourself out there as a mogul that people can trust, fine. Trust at your own risk. Weigh your options as a fighter. At the same breath, if Dana is not doing his own part and truly creating this as the best opportunity for fighters to sign with, well, he's just as much at fault as the fighters who signed with them and made the mistake of choosing somebody that wasn't going to help them. He's just as much at fault because he could have fixed the problem, but he chose not to. We can't have buyers beware as a caution for everybody who goes into a store. Because it's also a responsibility of the producer to make the product not just worth buying, but safe for the consumer. That's what we have with Dana White. We can call all the fighters to say, be careful. Don't be cautious with this. And at the same breath, everything that I've been saying about Dana White being true, fix what you have that is wrong. Because if you do, we can vouch for you to go and have people sign with you. But our distrust is because you're bringing the same practice that we said is problematic. It caused you to lose your biggest stars. And you're going to do that again in boxing. And we don't want that. But it's going to be allowed because you're Dana White. That's not okay. And it's almost a double standard because then the fall only gets on, hey, you shouldn't have chose to have him as your promoter. In actuality, the promoter should have been better and had the capacity to be better. But he chose to still be scheming in a way that was going to be detrimental, and he knew it coming in. That is a problem that the promoter has to fix. And we got to call it out as much as we can to make sure that it does get fixed. And tell people, until this gets fixed, don't do nothing with this cat. Until he gets a track record you can trust, don't do nothing with him. Until he makes us believe that he's in here not just for the long haul, but he wants to actually do right by the fighter. Don't do nothing with him. Don't do a doggone thing with him. Because if you fall and you fail, Dana White's still going to have money. You're going to be the one that's broke. You're going to be the one that's going to have bills to pay. You're going to be the one that's going to have to pay your own medical bills, pay your own dentist, pay your own physical therapy, pay for your own medication. Lord willing, to never have us have to pay for your own way to be taken care of as a helper if it gets that bad with the incurred damage that you've gained over the course of your career. It is you that has to pay that price. Because you chose wrong, but it's because somebody false advertised and didn't keep to their word. We don't want that. So yes, I am always going to be on the side of the fighter. I am not an accountant. I'm not a businessman. But I know good business. And I know good business practice is to not do the thing that has garnered the negative reputation that Dana White has gained over the course of his entire career. That's what I know. Man, I know much, but I know that. So I'm always going to say the same thing. We for the fighters, because they paying the price. The promoter, organization owner, they'll get their money regardless. But the fighter pays the price. And if this sport's going to be what it can be at its best, they got to be able to fight, be able to say, you know what, I'm taken care of. Because they should be. like with any other job that puts their life on the line. That's what this is. That is what this is. And tell me, rich people pay for fights, then they buy the tickets. We're broke now. All of us have that fund money. Like I wish we did. And the thing is, they keep on selling out. They keep on having all this big time payday. We see the capacity for more growth and financial literacy is not the wrong word, though there is growth in financial literacy for fighters now more than ever, thankfully, because there's more accessible information. But there's growth in revenue that has allowed for a growth in payment. We just wanted to make it happen. I won't even say we. I'll speak for me. I just want to make it happen. I just want to make it happen. And it's like, and we can say, be honest, what did you pay the zone package for $500? No, I did not, because I couldn't afford it. I can't at this point in time. Lord willing, we get to a point where I can, but I can't. But whether you are rich or whether you are poor, whether you can afford to pay for one of the offered packages or offered deals or offered fights, that doesn't change the perspective of what is proper business and what's right and wrong. Just because there might be a family that can't afford all the nice stuff that somebody else can afford, that doesn't mean that that family should not be able to have a livable wage. Just because there's a situation where somebody is able to get inside of a program that puts them on a fast track to higher revenue, and a teacher who is a teacher, they may work in jobs that have a drastically level different income and impact different things. But the basis thing should be both of you have the right to be able and should be given and provided the ability to have to use that right to live where you can be have all your needs met without concern that something is going to go awry. That's a baseline for anybody. I don't care what facet of life you're in. You should be able to live off of what you make, point blank, period, and not have to worry about where else a check is coming from. You should be able to say, I'm good with this career I got, regardless of what the career is, whether I can afford a Rolls Royce or a 1997 Mercedes-Benz. Whether I can a Volvo or a Hyundai. A Hyundai. Whether I got a big house or I live in a trailer, I don't care. I should be able to live and support myself with whatever I got at whatever I do. And whether we as fans can pay for everything doesn't negate the fact that upwards of over $1 billion+ has been made through the combat sports industry, especially now with Dana White double dipping. Fury made $147 million alone. $126 million alone from Usyk. Crawford made $40 million from that one fight with Canelo. Boots and Virgil Ortiz are potentially going to have a fight. If they do fight, we could see upwards of $9 million split between them. Off the bat, without you or me paying for one pay-per-view. It's because the money is there. The audience is established. The people, the revenue's coming in. It is factually seen that the revenue is there for the fighters to make what they can make. Both in boxing and beyond. It is there. That's not because one person can afford it or another. There's enough people in the globe investing in this sport as a whole that the business has made Dana White, Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, everybody else rich beyond compare. And because they are essentially CEOs of their organization, they have responsibility to take care of your employees, as everybody does if you're in charge. And because of that, reality. We can't use whether one person can afford or not afford a package as to why, they can't pay out these people. Because factually, they're making more money within the past 3 years than they've made over the past 5, 10. It's the truth. So they can afford it. We can't defend the rich. We can't defend the situation where, we're trying to do a comparative thing of pocket watching. You can't talk because you can't pay for something. Not saying that's what you're doing to me, but we can't. Doing that is a slippery slope, because then it opens up more can of worms where, I can't pay, but he still made more money than he made last year and the year before that and the year before that. So whether or not I can do it, he can still afford it. So a good boss would do it. But a bad boss would do what he's been doing. And we don't want that. That's the thing. That's the thing. And so we just don't want that as a situation. Because it is, and this will be the last thing, it is not the responsibility of just the fighter alone to get what they deserve. It's the responsibility of the promoters and organizations to do right by the fighter. It's like with any job. A bad boss is a bad boss, whether the employee is doing work or not. A bad boss is a bad boss, whether they're making money or not. A bad boss is a bad boss, whether they are one employee or 100,000. Whether they're the CEO of Apple or whether we're a small business owner. A bad boss is a bad boss. And everything for Dana White right now, though he built a mega empire, he's acted as a bad boss. And if that doesn't change and going into a new escapade, we don't want that same bad boss tendencies, that same continued trajectory to bleed into boxing. Because if he doesn't and is successful, that's going to affect the whole sport negatively. Because what do we say about boxing? It's one of the few sports, just like with any sport, when Floyd Mayweather was on top, everybody followed what Floyd did to the letter, business and stylistically. When Crawford got to the top, everybody's now trying to follow what Crawford's doing, stylistically and business, going after killers. The sport follows who is successful, because that's the easiest way to gain what you want to gain, which is be at top of the world. That's the blueprint to follow. That's what works today. And if Dana White does wrong in boxing, and he is able to be successful with how bad we've seen promoters in this sport be before, just because we think that they're doing right by boxers now, or at least doing better than Dana White now, they will quick as a hiccup turn face and follow the exact guideline that Dana White's doing that works. If it means lowering pay, if it means putting caps, if it means not giving fighters what they deserve, so be it. You know why? Because it works. That's the new standard, because that's what's getting me the most money. That's what it's always been. That's how it follows. That's how it tracks. So to negate that from being a negative connotation, we got to make sure Dana White does it the right way. We have to. We objectively have to. That's why we keep calling him out like we do. Because if we don't, it can be bad. It can be incredibly bad. But with all that being said, we about to get out of here. It's been almost 3 hours into the show. I did not expect this to go that way. I'm not going to lie. But even still, it was a phenomenal time. I appreciate all of you tuning into the show. And with all that being said, this has been another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to the show. It has been a blast talking boxing and sports with you all. Like I said, keep on leaving a like on the stream. Before you leave, comment your thoughts and opinions on what you like or didn't like about this show. Please keep on going through and sharing the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. Thank you to everybody who came in and chatted on stream. Y'all made this show so incredible, so phenomenal. Y'all were in a great audience. Y'all were a great conversation piece. Y'all brought up a lot of good points that we love and loved and absolutely loved to be able to discuss on this show. We're going to be back with another episode coming next week. We're going to give you an update on whether or not we can live stream Murtala versus Cruz on tomorrow. We'll probably give that update on Saturday morning. Most likely, I believe it's Saturday when that fight is. We'll give you an update before that thing goes live as to whether or not we will live stream it. But we be guaranteed that we're going to be talking about all this and more in the boxing world and beyond coming on Thursday. Be sure to be, Tuesday, excuse me, guaranteed. So be sure to be here for that, absolutely. But thank you all for tuning in. The top 5 chatters for this show. Number 5 was Blanks. Number 2 was Bobby 711. Number 3 was Legendary Super Saiyan Jackson. Number 2 was Timmy T, and number 1 was Edgar Cologne. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. You are the top chatter for today's episode. Pound for pound number 1. Can you continue it? We will find out on either Saturday or Tuesday come next week. But all that being said, I've been John Luke Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Please be sure to rate us 5 stars on every podcasting platform imaginable. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple or Spotify. And as well, be sure if you can support the channel, Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. If you'd like to come and support the channel, would mean the world to me. Also with Super Chat, Super Gifts, and whatnot would help us out immensely if you can. But it's all up to you. If you can afford it, it helps us to pay the bills and helps us to invest back into this show to make it bigger, better, and stronger, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. We gonna see you all next time out. Be sure to check the post for updates on whether or not we're able to live stream Murtala come Saturday. But hey, be safe, be blessed, peace and love. We out.